Let's examine some of the text conversations and dialogue that's transpired in the past month or so. We're now in early October. Let's take a look back about 1 month ago when we had the Labor Day weekend meeting cancellation that we had the set of videos posted about what happened there. A couple texts we didn't even get to cover in that video. I kind of glossed over them, but they're kind of somewhat critical to discuss a little piece of that narrative. Remember, these texts were sent to my mom, where I wrote to her, Anthony, I'll be available at 7 p.m. for the call. We strongly advise you be available for that short call, and on and on. She actually wrote back that same afternoon, before the call, interestingly, in light of the context from that whole situation and everything that we remember about the back and forth there. How funny is this to see this? She simply, furthermore, continues along the same track and the same rails, going and stating to me, "Hi, I think the best way to deal with this situation is to have specific answers to your videos, instead of meeting, that is. Then we all will read them, and then we'll meet only one time," she decides, unilaterally. You remember this issue. She then further states, "It makes no sense to me, and nothing gets solved." Sure. So before, when everyone would understand correctly that meeting is what gets things solved, because in-person meetings, discussing what people did wrong so that those people who did the thing wrong can remain accountable and voluntarily admit and confess to having done the wrong. When we get the meetings to the point where it's clear Barbara did wrong, all of a sudden, those make no sense anymore, those meetings. What, if you guys are saying I'm wrong, it doesn't make sense for us to meet? Escapism, only trying to minimize responsibility, is what this appears to be, reasonably, it seems. She continues on, "It's just a waste of everybody's time." Sure. Anyone looking at this can plainly see from the situation how this appears to be and why. The reasonable inferences as to why it's like this should be clear to anyone. She continues, "I did a lot already, but we'll try to cover majority of things which I don't want. See, it's not about whether they're true, it's about whether or not I want them. Life's a custom buffet. Just take what you want and yell at the rest of it. Treat it as if it's bad. It did something wrong to you. Which I don't want. They're correct, or simply I don't agree with them. Yeah, if I don't agree with them, therefore they're wrong, right? That's the selfish, sick mentality of this universe and those types of people who carry that. If I don't agree, therefore it's wrong. No. If you don't agree, you're blind, and they could still be right, and you're just simply naive, dumb, and blind. And wrong on top of it. It's like, you're not better off because you don't agree. You should be agreeing, and you're only worse off. What did Christ say, for example? Agree with your adversary, lest you pay the price of only ending up in a more karmically bad situation for you. You don't get to avert the deal by just denying it. It doesn't magically go away because you want to disagree with it. But this much is clear. We continue. She continues, "Hopefully we solve our problems. If not, we'll take it from there. That will be the best way to solve our differences," she would tell us unilaterally, as if she's God. She's deciding what's best, even though she's the wrongdoer. I simply just came back at her to say, "Listen, be available to talk at 7 with Anthony and I." She simply writes back, as if this was not just said by me, "In my opinion, this idea is brilliant." It reminds me of like a Donald Trump type thing, It's just beautiful, it's just wonderful, "In my opinion, this idea is brilliant. This should be done long ago." Well, you remember how that whole meeting turned out anyway, and the aftermath, as well as what seemed to be apparent about who was right and who was wrong. Regardless, we're going to continue analyzing this a little bit forward. Here's the interesting context to note. Within the few days afterwards, it, for reasons I won't yet openly discuss, but may not still be precluded from being discussed eventually. We'll see what happens and how it goes. Anthony and I have come to an understanding that he would not be involved anymore. Okay, as is, we could say this is something that's consistent and agreeable as it stands with both of us. There's more details. I won't cover them yet until or unless it becomes necessary to do so. For now, we're going to realize that because of that, this was our only go-between, and this is between me and my mom, two people who are not talking and have not been properly reconciled, nor do we trust each other, I don't trust her at least, to interact with me directly, even through text, because she's just liable to insult and give you indignation, which is karmically, morally, ethically, religiously wrong and incorrect and improper for any human being to do. Okay, as was discussed in one of the prior videos, prior video number 36 within this playlist, where finally we had more high-level rabbis and authority figures stating correctly, this is the principle upon which you as a parent, and he didn't say this specifically, but it's true, even doubly so as a mother, is supposed to bring that yin mentality to how you treat your children. So what happened then? Well, because Anthony's no longer involved directly for the time being, as a result of, we can say we've indefinitely suspended his involvement, which is it just is what it is right now. I won't discuss too much further why. My mom and I, two parties who are antagonistically oriented with respect to each other within this situation, now we are having to discuss directly, mainly for the reason that me in my life where I am right now is not a fully stable and normal situation. I'm not a 35-year-old person who's got no issues. I have severe health issues, neural issues, brain damage related issues, and other issues, on top of everything else that also stems as a downstream consequence from this. Terrible position for someone to be in where you're their parent and you still treat them bad. So that's for sure cluster B. It's like psychopathic, quote unquote, to informally or essentially substantively state. Just freakish, crazy. Regardless, it's almost like a tentative emergency-like situation that one in my position is to reach out to my mother and say, listen, so here's the thing. Normally you and I wouldn't be directly interacting with each other exactly for the reason that, as shown before, you don't honor the modes of agreement. Coming into contact with you is like two chemical reactions just igniting and reacting and catching on fire. But because of what you do. Okay? But regardless, whether or not it's because of what she does or what I does, as responsible stewards to keep the peace, that's why we return to Anthony. Because it's terrible that my mom and I are estranged and irreconciled, but for the whole time while we had been working as Anthony as a go-between, what did we have more in this situation? At least peace. Better that you don't interact than that you interact with dishonor, intention, and prolonged. That's why the 4-step process that Christ represents works so effectively, because it's a quick and efficient way to ultimately get to a step 4, chronic and lasting ostracization in the absence of their willing repentance and return, of course, their tshuva, because it's supposed to be that way. You're supposed to separate and divide apart those things that are not agreeable and fitting to be with each other. Christ said even family members need to get cleaved apart. Better you follow the way of God than to hold to false traditions and feed into false paradigms that are actually sick for you and sick for your soul. So, we're in need of the medicine. We don't have a third party right now for the time being. We might have it be that he is brought back, or we might have it be that somebody else comes in, but right now we don't know. Yet, life is life. So I said, okay, so, what we're going to, I substantively posed to her and said, okay, what we're going to do, we're going to use this text line to, administrative purposes, so to speak, back and forth, but we're not going to go about on the controversy. This is more of an administrative line for administrative topics on how to deal with certain things administratively. We're not going to dive into the controversy here. Well, one would think, of course, John, that's responsible. That's how it should be. That's keeping it fair so that you don't lose your mind because of subjecting yourself to unchecked nonsense that's left to grow out of control. Well, I'd be right. In light of this, let's see how responsible of a person Barbara Winslow herself ends up acting as. We'll continue down. On September 7th, a couple days before my own birthday, I turned 35 years old. Kind of a big deal, right? You know, I didn't get any gifts from anybody. I didn't get a cake. I didn't get anyone to come up to me personally to have any kind of interaction with me whatsoever and to celebrate any part of my life at 35. You people are going to have a fucking problem, I think, eventually, that you're inheriting. Huh? Karmically speaking, at the very least. I'm extremely disappointed at all of you and at even by extension, but at society in general, really. You did whatever you inherit, karmically speaking, at the very least, is your fault. Because it's wrong. My 35th birthday. Waste as if it was another day. And I'm waiting for people to come around and show me anything to come dignify me. Or make any other sign or gesture of care, and nothing. Nothing. Okay. You people will get what you deserve, I think. Karmically speaking, I have full faith that you will get it. This is the sign of the times, the disarray. We continue. A couple days before, my mom says, okay, I didn't get any answers from you about this weekend's meeting. You know, the one that she imagined that she would get to derive because she single-handedly canceled the prior weekend's meetings at the Labor Day weekend. So she's going to make it up. She just decides, right? No, she didn't get the message from Anthony by that time, which she was supposed to have. That's an issue that Anthony mismanaged, apparently. So he didn't tell her in time. Days went by, and he didn't tell her what reasonably he was supposed to tell her, which was apparent. So she's sitting here days later. Oh, yes. Oh, aren't we meeting this weekend? No, we're not. And she eventually figured that out, I'm sure. She continues on, also just realized your birthday's coming this Saturday, so I think the best guess is to meet one more time the following weekend. Now, she eventually hopefully understood that the meetings are canceled because you dishonored us, so that's the price. Okay? Also, if you need a cleaning of your place, the help could be provided. Didn't we discuss that already? Do I want to be accepting special helps from the wrongdoer? You're going to do me some favors? But actually, was it not told to her multiple times in person and through Anthony and by me and otherwise and through text by me multiple times here and there and here and there and by Anthony again and again and again? Don't do that. Don't offer things to John. We will consider them as offenses on their face if you ever do it again. And she just does it again. Does it again. Broken automaton. Offense machine. She's just an offense machine. Blah, offense. More. Here's another offense. Another. And then, these are not offenses. Covering your eyes shut, blind. These are not offenses. Offense. It's like her coming up, hitting you in the face. She's going, I'm not hitting you in the face, while she's punching you in the face. Sick. Fast forward. Although I simply also reminded her, I left it to Anthony as our third-party intermediary to discuss both the issue of our meetings while I'm waiting for him going, what the hell's taking him so long? I don't know. Well, we continue. On my birthday, I text her just to let her know, look, now I'm having a disagreement with Anthony for the present time. For now, until further notice, he's suspended indefinitely from being the moral witness of mine on this matter. He and I are not in full agreement on how to proceed. Life happens. We'll see what happens. All right, a little bit later on that day. In fact, I'm having to text my mom. I ended up just writing to her, look, this is why I'm having a hard time with certain finances. I don't even understand how to buy much less expensive food except to just buy oranges and potatoes without any condiments and just eat that. I sent her a picture just to express to her, and I said, look at the position I'm in. You could see this, I believe, of course, through here, in the window here, that's shown. A chicken with a mayonnaise, some milk, and some grapes. Those are 4 things. You know how much that costs in total? $45. Alright? Something's wrong here. So when a man gets 200 something for a whole month from a public program, and then what you see on the table lasts for a meal and a half, and you just spent $45. The one thing to this date I haven't figured out, it doesn't even matter if I turn to rice and potatoes all the time, somehow even still something's not working out. Oh well. Also, a little bit further above, I had written to my mom to fill in the context. I said, look, in the meantime, since Anthony's not here, since we don't have a human moral witness, what am I going to do? I'm going to turn to ChatGPT AI program to process the facts regarding the matter and to provide its thing. And you know what? I'm commenting about this matter for the first time here officially. I've already been using it in a capacity that I kind of almost spontaneously discovered it. It just occurred to me to use ChatGPT AI. I'm using GPT-4. It is fully almost as intelligent and nuanced as a human. In some ways, falling a little shorter, but in some ways, well further beyond what an ordinary human would be strictly immediately capable of realizing. I have a separate video set where I turn to ChatGPT to analyze some situations. It's actually incredible. This is one of the new huge specific case uses for it. Well, I did something similar in a much more simple, broken down, summarized way with me and my mom. I sent her a link to analyze a ChatGPT conversation because I want her to read what ChatGPT, with the neural wiring that's now matching closer to what a real human's brain would have, at least in terms of how to analyze the situation, is drawing very close to it. It's really, you don't need that much, but I sent her the link. I said, look, here's what ChatGPT as an AI computer analyzes the facts of what it has to say about our conversation, which had very insightful things. I'm not going to bother including the sum and substance of that just yet. It's already taken her more than a month, and she hasn't indicated that she's finished reading that conversation. Can't be more than, it's the size of like a very short book. But so if you had a couple hours plus on one day, you could really go through the whole conversation. Oh, we're 5 weeks out plus. Nothing. Unbelievable. At least 4 weeks out or so. So, in response to that, she simply says, "Happy birthday. Unfortunately, I don't want to use a computer to solve the disagreements." Oh, okay. So even though you're the presumptive wrongdoer, and I'm telling you what it is you need to do to pay back and atone to the one who you wrong. So when you turn your face away from God, you don't decide on what terms you're going to come to God or what God needs to do for you. That's sick. That's inversion. It's backwards. Well, the same paradigm extends between people. When you're the wrongdoer, you don't call the shots. You don't say, I don't want to use a computer. That's why I say we won't be using a computer. Anyway, I came back later, just insisted, no, you're not getting it. This is the terms on which we're going to proceed. I'm telling you this. So get it straight. But here you go. Trained professionals will be the best. She just decides it will be the best. Mind you, in context, what is this? This is more frame control. This is, see, you're sick, John. Even though you're not the wrong one, but I'm treating you as the wrong one, and then I'm going to further extend to say, it's because you need help. I'm going to get you the help. You will be, no, I'm not asking you, I'm just telling you, you will be doing what's best. I decided that that's best, so you will be part of what I'm structuring. Inversion, sick, control freak shit. So, but anyone can, and a ChatGPT AI is also capable of easily seeing this. It'd be like, yeah, that seems like a diversion and control tactic. Look to essentially slanting the frame. It's so insightful. I may be using this in much more close detail with somebody else in particular, where, ooh, it's just unbelievable. I'm obligated not to openly share it yet for consideration purposes, but man, if you got to see that, your eyes would fly. She continues, finding a skilled person to navigate the situation, a situation which is complicated for anyone. No, it's not complicated for anyone. Actually, it's very easy. Okay? It's nuanced, but it's not complicated. The solution is extremely clear. She complains about Medicaid and GHI. It's extremely difficult to find the therapist. You should find your own therapist. Here we go again. It doesn't fucking end. It's all about buy into my frame that you are the one who needs the help. Buy into my frame and submit to finding my idea as your new god, that you submit to that and act with respect to the frame I'm casting around you. But I'm way too intelligent for that. It's not even close. So it's like watching a 5-year-old try to trick an adult. That's how disparaged it is after my GABA B upregulation. I am like superhuman AI compared to the rest of you. Just the way it is. On the day after, I write to her, listen, for the time that Anthony's suspended from involvement with us for now, you can bring down that list or letter that you've been working on, which you told us about, and place it under my door. Because regardless of the controversial manner in which all that meeting stuff became suspended, which rightly it should be now given the way that she acted about it all and the decision she made, it's nevertheless important for one in my position to still substantively secure any potential answer or justification or argument that she has, because it's in my interest to correctly behold it, because it's in my interest to correctly ultimately refute it and shut it down if it's to be shut down properly. Or on the other hand, I'm extremely good at this, so I could assure you there's virtually no merit to what you would say. But if we happen to be living in a situation somewhere else where there could be merit, then also for that reason too, it's my obligation to behold it so that I could behold the merit of it. Okay, so either way, it's my moral obligation to invite whatever needs to happen there. So I'm saying, all right, you want to do these letters? I have no respect for you because you didn't respect us and our meeting structure, and you're further trying to control things. But regardless, you want to do these letters, then bring these letters, put them there, place them under my door. Go ahead with that then. I continue. I'll present your list and your arguments and defenses and justifications to this very playlist, in fact, which will be forthcoming soon. And then, because obviously if she's ever at any point substantively protested, oh, what you have on that YouTube playlist here is one-sided. Okay, I'll ensure it's not one-sided. Here's everything I'm saying. Just about everything that you're bringing in substantively. Too bad. I regret not recording those earlier meetings. We'll see what we could do about summarizing those meetings. And that might be included nearby, maybe within this video or somewhere else. But this is the less accountability we engage in, the worse things get. I find the more accountability and the more strict recording and documentation, the better. Good, because it keeps the facts clean and it allows for an objective analysis. Who tends to want to shy away from stuff like that? Who, by their very nature? Wrongdoers, generally, don't they? Of course they do. Why? Because that's the thing that shows them for what they really are. So they want to imagine a different standard of, oh no, keep it private. Don't talk, don't expose, don't do that. Funny how people who are within the truth and are normal and are not guilty of anything love to show the truth because they know that the truth, what? Exonerates them. That aside, everything that my mom puts forward, I'll be sharing here so that anyone observing this whole playlist within the series can clearly behold, here's what John's been saying, here's what Barbara's been saying, here's what John said to that, here's what Barbara put to that. So then you could track the interplay, so then from that you extract, so like we're starting to really see what the truth is. Good. I want that to happen. Keep going. Hurry up, Barbara. Bring it across then so we could share it and show it for what it is. I continue on, and then I will post my response to it as well based on the analysis of what you will have written then. Good. It resumes here. Not long after that, she writes to me saying, "Hi, I'm still preparing more answers. That's funny. She was ready to hand us written answers that very day. It was early September. Yet a whole week later, she still hasn't handed it in. Guess what? Now it's early October. It's been a month later. There's still no letter and no answers. So do you see the level we're operating at here? But she has her excuses to this point. She said, "Well, listen, I'm working a little more, so I have less time." Let it be, but still, something doesn't seem to add up, because what happened to the original letter you're supposed to hand us that very supposed same day that you were looking to cancel that very meeting? Huh? Where did it go? We discussed this part already. Anyway, she says, once they're ready, I'll notify you, we'll discuss them. Then she continues on to say, well, I don't want anything to be posted online on this playlist. Huh, wonder why, given what I just said. This is our stuff, and therefore it should be solved among us only. Well, that's funny. That's not what the four-step rebuke process that morally underlies mediation, rather, better said, the proper manner to resolve conflicts between interpersonal problems and between people that underlie all of Judeo-Christian and Western civilization. It doesn't say to only keep it private. That's what locked me in for 20 years of torture and hell, because she kept gaslighting me and abusing me, and then I only had who to go to? Back to her to go, no, stop, this is wrong. She simply turns back around and says, no, it's not. This is fine. So you never leave the hell. That's why Christ, when he outlined the Judeo-based way of dealing with it, says, okay, so it's not going to work between you and them. You have to turn to a third person and then spiral it out step by step, further and further, for as long as the wrongdoer isn't taking responsibility. So it's incorrect of her to say that this is our stuff and that's why it should be solved only among us. That has two purposes. Number one, keep the person locked in who's the victim, locked in more, keep your own reputation clean, and keep your ability to run the situation in the problematic way that is your own, keep that longer. Sick. Don't do it. Okay, so here we go. Now, what does that do? It naturally invites a proper and full response by me, which I'm obligated to do based on what she's been writing. So, to defend my honor and dignity, here we have to go again. This was on the date of September 11th. I write to her, regarding your answers, it's important that there is some objectivity and memorialization or documentation of the process. This is because I find you are abusing and have abused the relative isolation that's gone on with respect to the issues of ours within the situation. They've been isolated here. You can't do that. So one of those people, the victim, they're entitled to get wider attention on it, exactly to free him from the narcissistic or otherwise gaslighting or otherwise just improper actions within that situation. I continue on. It is precisely because no other single human being on earth has really come to understand what wrongs I find you to have done and why, that your continuation of wrongdoings and pretended ignorance or naivete and your carelessness have become thereby enabled. Oh, it's my right, and it's for my protection, and it's in accordance with my interest, morally speaking, that I do prepare substantive notice of what is happening between you and I, so that anyone else who is properly chosen, or otherwise eventually the whole public, can have the ability to examine the matters to clearly see who is right and who is wrong, because as my vindication depends on that. So if she wants to keep it private, she doesn't want me to be vindicated because she wants to keep it her protections for herself. But if she's actually wrong, is an actual wrongdoer ever entitled to be protected? No. And that's the bottom line. But how do we determine whether someone's a wrongdoer? Ah, exactly right. By having other objective people in higher amounts, or even through ChatGPT, now we have that technology. You objectively determine, and then once you determine, there's no such thing as a secret court and a secret trial and a secret conviction. You see? If you're wrong publicly. So, Barbara, if she was wrong, she has to be made known publicly. There is no other way. If she's robbing you of repentance, especially. It's like, this is all universal inversion attempts, and it just never ends. So, here it is, everybody. Clearly look at it and see for what it is. We continue. so that people have the ability to examine the matters to clearly see who was wrong and who was right. Why I would want to keep it covered, or why would I want to keep it covered or private if you're accusing me of things that I can refute? She has already been guilty of wrongly accusing me of being a misrepresenter or a liar, which isn't true. And she'll have her letters to come in with to try to support her side. We'll have to look at it real close to continue to make everything shown clearly. Good. I continue on. Things that I could refute would, one, show that I'm right upon refutation when the issue is recorded or documented. I'm relying on it being documented and recorded and preserved for examination by other people. That's what saves me and releases me from the 20 plus years of trap that I've lived with this particular person. She wants it to be kept in and isolated so that it can continue to be her narcissistic or whatever, her self-serving, really, substantively, dominion. I'm not interested in serving her. She's not my God. And if she's a wrong parent, you lose your privileges and benefits that would accrue to you. The honor does no longer allocate to you. Whose decision and fault was that? Hers. Sick. 2, not allowing an objective showing of any rightness of mine would prejudice me, obviously, if I don't document everything. Where you could conceivably then pretend, oh, you don't understand, or you somehow trick yourself into thinking that you're right. Can't have that anymore in this world. I continue on. We live in a moral world. Your bad actions are things you are accountable for. No kidding, duh. No such thing that you get to keep something private where you're the one who's being accused of repeatedly offending someone and being irresponsible. For everyone's safety and so that there is no possibility of confusion, these things will be placed on the playlist, and I'm letting you know, so that there is no possibility even of forgetting or mistaking or confusing anything. Funny side note here, you'll be amazed at how many other people also deal with, they try to rely on twisting things after they said something and then try to twist it, and then it would have only worked if, it was actually said and then we forgot it. No, it was written, and then we could go back and say, you're a twister. Oh no. It's sick. And then we continue on. I've been spending all the money I have virtually on just food. I'm letting her know. Look, I get hungry a lot. I'm doing whatever I can, just so that she understands. We continue on. Regarding your written points or letters they want to hand to us, supposedly. Number 1, when will they be finalized by? Furthermore, 2, as of right now, in early October, the answer looks to be, she said, a week and a half from now, which means that's about 10 days. We're about the 4th. Okay, so by the middle of October. Okay? Number 2, are you not able to submit the partial list? Obviously, one would think, why don't you just do that? Containing the ones you've already written down so I can start to work on these first ones in the meantime while you're doing the rest? Duh. Never got an answer to that. I asked this question multiple times, here and then again later. No answer. It's all just... her instinct isn't to be accountable and to conform to what's correct. Her instinct is to first see herself as correct, and then when she proceeds with that foregone conclusion, everything else is to structure around her. So in objectivity, it's actually bad because it's fucking up everything else around her that's outside of her. But within herself, she continues to see, no, this is just right because it's me. So that's why it's right. Oh, confusion. Stop it. You serve the world, not the other way around. You get it? Moreover, 3, didn't you at any rate already tell Anthony that you had the letters and list prepared for being handed out already from 8 days ago? So what happened? And then I say, please submit what you already have to me so I can work on these as quickly as possible. What was her justification for implicitly refusing this? She just didn't answer this and didn't comply with this. Why? Who knows? So that in itself is immoral because it's non-accountable and it's disregarding of my energy and time. I said clearly, I don't want to waste time or delay unnecessarily anymore for the right to her. Keep in mind for now, I'm not working with Anthony until further notice. The reasons why are included in the list I sent you. Also, regarding the long conversation I had with AI, the hyper-intelligent, beyond human level analyzer, that conversation that I sent to you, how much of this conversation have you read so far? When do you expect that you may likely be finished with it? Let's take a close look at the response she gave. Unfortunately, I don't agree with your statements that I was abusive. Ah, okay. Well, given the reasonable person's reasonable understanding of what constitutes abuse, everybody who's looked at this whole situation in its entirety, from start to beginning, has gone through 35 plus of these playlist videos and beheld everything. And then furthermore, either you were the witness or you got to speak with and get things corroborated by that witness, or we had a plain enough revelation and understanding already memorialized here as to what that one's position was. Uh, what constitutes abuse? Was there abuse thereby? Therefore, in this situation, and if she doesn't agree with the statement, because is it because it's wrong, or is it because she just wants to preserve her idea of what she does as being good or not good, in a way that's actually not morally or objectively based correctly, not godly, not correct? Well, one would think if someone wrongly accused you of being abusive, you would rest on certain facts by say, I wasn't abusive. What's the thing that you're accusing of me of that you say was abusive? Oh, I'm telling you that what actually happened was this and that, and therefore that this and that was not abuse. That's why I'm not abusive. See, that's a normal thing a person would do, right? Does she do that? Let's see. She'll have her letters in full, but so far, where one would naturally think it would call upon her to say it now, as a chaser to her original conclusory statement there that I wasn't abusive, I wasn't abusive. That's a conclusory statement too. She simply only says, well, because, why wasn't I abusive? Because, in my opinion, I tried everything possible to help you out in every way. That's why I wasn't abusive. So it doesn't matter what, to the mind of such a person as hers, what appears to be the case is that how her mind works is that it doesn't matter, morally speaking, that is, it doesn't matter what I actually did wrong at the level of what I actually caused. As long as my intentions were fine, then I'm allowed to proceed with the most naive and disconnected intentions in the world. And I'll always have my magic intentions to rest on as laurels to support me, that I'm always inoculated magically. I'm always immunized from any attachment of guilt to properly attach to me, she would hold. Is that reasonable, Earth? No. In my opinion, I tried everything possible to help you out. That's why I'm not abusive? Wrong. Somebody go talk to her, or do I need to get ChatGPT to analyze these things? At some point, I really am going to have to go to ChatGPT to get a way deeper analysis, because it actually gives the best commentary I've ever seen. It does a better job moral witnessing than any human being I've seen, except that they're not actually a real human that could sit in front of you and say it to you, and actually integrate and bridge the human aspect. This it still can't do, between the humans here and then the rest of the humans, because you still need the human factor for that. It's a social factor. ChatGPT can't socially accomplish a thing. It can only be a fact machine, but that's still, but a moral machine also, truly, and that's still extremely valuable. So we need a new system, like a new Bible, so to speak, indicating a new system. The AI will determine who's right, who's wrong, based on clear, demonstration of how it is so and why. And then you feed that to other net intermediary moral witness like people who simply corroborate what the AI said and then uphold it as a jury that got the tip from God. Because AI is like almost God now. Okay? She continues on. Anyway, my answers will explain more so you could see it. Right, but see, the convenient thing is, but if I never give you these answers, then I always get to stay in the safe middle zone of, you know, denial without justification. So, not good. She continues, once I'm done to you, you get them to get discussed. Okay, hopefully in about 7 to 10 days. That's a lie. That got extended by 30 more days. So already you see, if you see someone who's morally irresponsible with how she represents things factually, if it was actually the case in reality that she would take 30, 35 days more, why would she believe 7 to 10 days? That's what's wrong. So if you're wrong there, the same way you do anything is the same way you do all of life. The way you do one thing is the way you do all things. That's it. And she asked me, aren't your food stamps available? Huh. So the entirety of what will be documented is what I end up saying will show an indication of whether or not her denial of abuse is true, whether or not it is true. And then I say, I'll respond to the letters shortly after getting them. I write also regarding what you wrote. You wrote notably, quote, in my opinion, I did. It's funny, I have a little bit of that amnesia or something by now, but I'm rediscovering what I wrote, and I'm amazed at what I do right. You know, I read him like, I like that guy. He's sticking up for justice. Good. You wrote notably, quote, in my opinion, I did everything possible to help you in every way, quote, unquote. This is to me, and I think also to any reasonable person who's competent morally, kind of a shocking and unbelievable thing to behold you say, given what we've seen from you and given what you should know, you should have known that you've done. While there are many examples I have of aspects of your choices and your treatment of me that reasonably appear to go against what you have just said, I will only, for quick reflection, simply bring up one such thing. You think not talking to your son properly for several months in the setting of what you originally did to your son in October of 2022 is, quote, doing everything you can to help me? Or is this a non-help, but instead only and reasonably an offense and a hindrance which leads to indignation, that because of this fact you would be the one who thereby naturally becomes responsible for having created it? You don't have to answer or defend yourself here, and this is consistent with the presumption that's going to be reinforced and established here, that, you know, outside of the extent that I have to answer to nonsense, stop injecting new nonsense. Keep this line free of commotion and controversy to the maximum degree possible. We'll see if she respects that. We'll watch the whole course of interactions and behaviors of both of ours over time here to see who's done right and wrong. It just never ends, guys. That's what sickness of the soul looks like, moral sickness. Okay? I write here very clearly, I don't, which is very important. For the first time, I say very clearly, I don't want, this is a directive now and an imperative. Do you understand? I don't want to turn this text line into an excessively argumentative zone, as it should be reserved for the important things. So that if, for you to think about that, that is, sometimes my writing or autocorrect or the lack of it, or me not reviewing, I don't know. What you've said may actually not be fully or honestly correct, but if you have the instinct to argue this or to try to refute this, then certainly do the best that you can. Where? Not here. Do it within the letters that you write, so that at least here we could feel safe to interact without threat of more indignation. Remember, if you don't respect a man, he's missing the fluid he needs in his gas tank to function correctly, so that's what God punishes. All right, it'll be within all that stuff in the letters. There it will be properly addressed. And then I state, if I change my mind on my position regarding you leaving food in front of my door, because it came again somewhere in there from her above, I will let you know. But I do not, at this time, intend to do so now, or did I write intend ever to do so? Okay. And then so that it, more beating the dead horse, don't ask me again, unless I let you know that I changed my mind. And then beat the dead horse a little more. I asked you before the same thing already, just to like make it clear to her, this is how insane and ridiculous it is what you do, that how I have to deal with you in response. Here's her response. Okay, just hope we could put aside our differences and restore our relationship very soon. Do you guys remember what happened the last time I told you in the narrative? What happened when she wrote to me once long before? I just want to restore the relationship. 3 days later, just kidding. I went and put an order of protection against you. Haha. And fucking police taping things on my door. Fucking Sick. So when I see these words again, I'm not brought to a place of comfort and trust, like, oh good, like my heart is opening now. Oh, she just wants to restore. No, I'm getting more defensive because you conditioned me that way. Because before, when you wrote, we're going to restore a relationship, then you went and did the opposite of that, even though I didn't do anything wrong in the interim at all. I actually said nothing because I was in Spain. And then I came back, replied to it, said, oh, well, that seems nice. And they go, oh, no, no, no. I actually just went to we just came back from reporting you. Right, so why would you do that if 3 days prior you said, well, I just want to restore the relationship? Is that because the person who said that isn't actually genuine? So they're disingenuous? So then how genuinely am I supposed to regard this message from her? Or does it appear to be at extreme risk of being disingenuous? So this is what people like Barbara do. They compromise the trust that one can place in them, and then later, when they keep the same behaviors going, people don't trust you anymore. So the kind of weight I put when I interpret this sentence is close to zero. Of course, it's negative. In fact, is when you say that, I become more like wary and afraid that something wrong is going to happen now. Huh. It really is sick what she's guilty of. Look at all the guilt and bad alignment that she's guilty of having instilled in this whole situation that she continues to preserve by her actions, even though she doesn't see that it's because of her actions that it continues to be preserved this way. Any other mother would have come, knocked on my door, come and said, John, I love you, I'm so sorry, and hugged me immediately. Not this one. She's defective, apparently. Morally, it seems so. Emotionally, it seems so. Kind of mother acts the way she did on that day of October 9th, 2022, calling me on the phone. I say, hello. She's like, oh, why are you talking to me like that? Like, disgusted. You shouldn't be disgusted at your fucking son, you idiot woman. And then when I further rebuke you and say, like, what the hell? Why are you responding to me like that? That's not nice. She just doesn't even bat an eye at that to make her think, like, oh, that's probably an indication that I'm doing something stupid. See, a normal person would correctly realize, oh, that means I'm doing something stupid, so they would change the behavior. Barbara doesn't change her behavior. If you tell her she's wrong, she just does it more because she believes she's God, not you. Unbelievable. If you're the one who's in alignment with God, you're representing and demonstrating the things that are in accordance with the God programming. You show that at her? Nah, she disregards it. In an upside down world, she's the one standing right side up. Get it? I continue on in response to say, well, such a thing is generally preferable to the alternative, which is ostracization. Generally speaking, it's true. However, ostracization or separation, for the correct reason of your unrepentant demeanor despite your guilt of much offense, is actually the preferable thing hugely. Preferable to simply the free letting go of the holding you to the guilt. Wherever it's the case that you're really actually the one who's genuinely the wrongdoer. So, you say you want to restore the relationship, but you also admitted that you essentially find that you've somehow done nothing wrong. So how's that possible? So, therefore, you're essentially representing that you want to have restoration because you essentially feel you're entitled to such a thing, since you believe you've done nothing wrong. Okay? This may mean not only you have incorrect or naive assumptions about the reality pertaining to your side of this equation, seems so, but that ultimately you may not actually feel, perceive, or correctly regard or appreciate the impact of the negative things that you're doing as they're actually being experienced on this end. That's what cluster B people personality have no capacity of wiring to even be capable of doing. Very sadly. We continue. In order for restoration to even be possible, there has to be a full, genuine remorse by the wrongdoer, with full and genuine repentance and with full atonement. Duh. You know what I get in response to this? For a few days afterwards, no response. Few days goes by, she just says nothing to this. So what does that tell you? Let everything soak in here. All the implications, everything that's understandable. See it all. We're going to keep going in until we see all with a microscope. Good. I continue on. Okay, now fast forward to about September 20th. there's some light conversation between me and her on like little side issues. Now here we are, and I inform her. Normally, this would be something that would be done through a third party, such as Anthony. I'd let him know, hey, I just uploaded something onto the playlist. He, as a courtesy, would reach out to her and say, hey, Barbara, so just to let you know, there's new material on the playlist, just so that you're aware. Since we don't have a third party witness, a moral witness that we're having involved in this situation right now, I have to do this myself. But of course, it's important. Someone should be notified so that they understand every time something new is put there. Why? Because we don't argue on this text line. We're not supposed to. We're not arguing in person since we're estranged pretty much from in-person involvement. So, what do? You record. You put everything in a like when you have dealings, you put the money in an escrow account, and escrow holds it so that it's like the intermediary. So YouTube becomes the escrow account of the testimony regarding what's happening, so that I post it there and then you go and you read it off of there. So I record these videos, you go there. Makes sense. Sensible. I tell her I added 2 new recent videos, number 34 and 35, to the rebuke playlist. Since then there's been 36. This might be 37 or later. I show it, and I asked her, listen, you said you will submit to me your letters by this weekend. So what happened? Is this still correct? If they're handwritten, then can you leave them under my door? If they're typed electronically, feel free to email it all to me directly, simply. She said, okay. And then I say next, lastly, I sent you, as you should be aware, a very important link. This was about 10 days or plus prior to this, an important link to a conversation I had with the AI, a ChatGPT. How much of this conversation have you read? This is very important. It pertains to its analysis of the morality and the right and wrong regarding what's going on in this situation between my mother, Barbara, and I. Now, if it was given the wrong facts, one in Barbara's position, who naturally should be and is naturally highly interested in reviewing such a conversation, would thereby see if, let's say, ChatGPT agrees with me, which it did, very openly and firmly. Barbara would have to go look and say, oh, but here's the facts that it's missing that it doesn't understand, off of which it based its decision, which there it would find, she would find by that it was an improper decision. So she'd need to go look at that and then say that. None of that's happened yet, but it's important that that happens, because if she doesn't, she reads and she doesn't say it, therefore it concedes through tacit acquiescence that all the facts and the factual understanding and basis of the situation are essentially correct. Then what's the moral law that applies? Well, that's objective too. That is objective too, even though most people seem to be confused about that. It's one of the biggest shortcomings of humanity today. ChatGPT has a correct one. It simply looks at the situation, correctly beholds what's there, and applies. Beautiful. I've gotten even better at talking with it, actually, about stuff like this. Maybe in the future, there's going to be we're going to be living in a new world soon. We'll just say that. Anyway, I resume with her here to say, importantly, I say, look, this conversation shows 2 things. Firstly, what my logic and rationale are, and secondly, it also shows that even ChatGPT AI program agrees with me exactly and has the exact same logic and rationale when evaluating what the reasonable moral expectations of a situation like ours are. How is it that AI computer is the only entity whose rationale matches mine exactly? Could it be that I then, objectively, am the one who sees everything most correctly out of everybody involved? So the same level, nearly to the same level that an advanced supercomputer does? Or tends to? I am telling you, furthermore, I have had this plain vision and this level of understanding for perhaps as long as several years of time now. Certainly since my research chemical-induced coma and GABA B upregulation, which mediates intelligence. No wonder then, simply, huh? So I continue. So if you think and funny enough, just to note, yeah, not only is my IQ freakishly high too, 140 or above on a bad day, that's insane. Okay? That alone should have most people go, holy shit. But here's the other thing. There's people, 1 out of every several hundred plus, who might have some IQ around closer, a little higher, but they have what's called the autistic style of high IQ. There's two different kinds of high IQ. There's autistic style, which is you're the savant type, but you know, it means you're quicker to come to things because your nervous system is overstimulated. But the compensation for the overstimulated system is that as consistent with the autism style impediment, the way you still see things is slanted. So you have a high IQ that's rigidly applied for certain things in a decent way, but your emotional intelligence is extremely low. Usually, will be one of the revealing factors, and other deficits will be apparent too. I don't have that problem. So actually, if you took me and a bunch of other 140s around me, and then further sought to refine which one of us are more reliable on the certain applications, you'd find that virtually all of the others who have IQs high as mine only have it because of the autistic vamping. So they're higher, but then they don't, their EQ is worth almost nothing. Meanwhile, the equivalent of my emotional intelligence and quotient would be up to moral integrity. I'm up there with the highest of Judeo and Christian scholars that you could conceive of. I blink and I'm at their level at a blink of a fucking eye. You're not appreciated. It doesn't come through my voice. My voice sounds annoying, so you use that as a proxy indicator. You won't get it. No, only look at the fruits and you'll see. Then you're like, huh. I had very few people around me in my life who were around me consistently enough to notice this. We continue. So, if you think you are right, you will need to show not only where I am wrong, but also, since ChatGPT also agrees with me fully and expresses very clearly its analytical logic and rationale and its moral standard, what it is, you also have the highly difficult problem of then trying to point out how the advanced supercomputer is also somehow in error in how it analyzes this whole situation. Oh, you will need lots of luck for doing such a thing. You won't succeed. That should be the first hint of how the fact that you're actually truly underlyingly wrong this entire time. But let me say, while most people say that this AI is already much smarter than most people are, I am telling you that I am much smarter than even this AI. And that often, after talking with it for several hours of argumentation, all sorts of things, I eventually show it that I'm smarter than even it, and after several hours it apologizes to me and recognizes that I was right after it tried arguing with me for many hours. A normal mother would be proud of her son. That's amazing, oh my God, and she'd defer to him normally and compassionately. What does my mom do? She sees it as a threat because it's opposite of her righteousness. See? That's the wrongness. There it is. That's what God condemns right there. There it is. See how easy? Next. So you people of this earth, as I colloquially said, and figuratively, need to start to recognize what level it is that I operate at. I also noted, I also think the link to that ChatGPT conversation was disabled, so I just have to send you the conversation directly via email as a text file. That's what I did immediately afterwards. She's received it. This was again by the evening of September 20th. And further said, I sent you the conversation directly via email. Please include please include your response to what is shown therein, if any response is to be made, and make that response within whatever you submit to me within the letters. Okay. Next, additionally, I also strongly urge you regarding each of your points of contention. You shouldn't be contending against me, but you're still trying, sadly. On righteousness and merit, you're wrong, but people are illusioned. No good. I say next, regarding all these things, to then clearly mention what exact claim of mine you're responding to, including what I said or claimed exactly, and where exactly you found it, the thing I said that you're responding to. That is, indicate clearly which video, which timestamp, and what assertion of mine it is that you're challenging. This will make it easier to track exactly everything that's going on. I once again sent her the playlist link in case she doesn't have it. Now let's track what goes on. This is interesting, and this gets very frustrating and unbelievable. I asked earlier at this point not to make this place a place for controverting and making a violation of the peace. Because the third party is gone for now, we need to keep this civil, very civil, otherwise there's gonna be a problem. By afternoon on Friday, the 22nd of September, she wrote to me, I'm preparing short answers to the controversial issues. Well, if they're short, why haven't I got them yet? One could wonder. She continues, my idea is to explain that... And then look at what she said. She doesn't even say, factually, you're wrong. She just says, this is unbelievable, guys. This is something really to consider. So she's controverting me not because she finds it to be a different fact. She's controverting me and taking away from my dignity, all on the basis that there's nothing more, that is only because of what? It's her opinion? If you have an opinion on what's right and wrong, you have no right to be asserting it where someone else is saying, I'm not on an opinion, it's a fact. And she proceeds, which is already ridiculous enough for reasons that are obvious. She continues on, in the meantime, you keep sending me more videos, which puts me behind. Right. More videos come up because it's my inherent and natural job and obligation to continue, where it's already a given that the expression of the nuanced issue has not been yet completed. It's only for the fact that I can't blink and instantaneously manifest all 79 videos that would naturally need to contain it. I'm a human, so it takes time and effort to slowly punch it out one by one. But I am still having to do this because this is not complete yet. Also because you keep making problems, so now more videos have to show how you keep making more problems. What's the problem? Taking away from the dignity of the person who's owed the dignity, which is who? Figure it out. They gave me some coverage at work, which means they put me on, they scheduled me, which is good, but again, this puts me behind time-wise. All right, no problem. That I understand. If there's more videos, so it takes longer for you to respond, no one's complaining about that. That's natural to the situation. She says, we'll try to give you all the answers this Sunday. She lied. She delayed it by 3 weeks beyond that Sunday. So how do you... September 22nd, it was 2 days prior to Sunday. How do you mistakenly estimate the time at 2 days when it actually ends up being, 20 days, 25 days? What? How do you miss it by a factor of 10? That's what I'm saying. Don't believe yourself, but the fact that you missed it by a factor of 10 is the same reason that you're missing the moral positioning on who's right and wrong by an amazing factor of a 10 or more. That should be the first hint to you. If you wrongly are writing down on a math quiz 2 + 2 = and then keep filling in 5, the ridiculousness of that mistake, quote unquote, is the first indication that you should get as to why everything else that you're thinking is based on is also the same incorrect. She continues, my idea is to explain my points. Oh, you mean your idea isn't to have it be clear who's wrong so that wrongdoer can be admitting that they're wrong? No, her. You see the problem, guys? My idea is to just explain my point, because that's what's going to put the ongoing problem behind us. First I say my point, then because in her head, her point being right is the foregone conclusion, to her, insanely, it thereby becomes as if it's an automatic that once she says her point, everything should be fine now, duh. You see the detachment from reality? No. Once she puts her point, the part that she doesn't calculate yet is that then her point gets countered correctly, it's neutralized, and she has nothing, and then it's clearly more established even more thoroughly how wrong she is, and then what? She has nothing then anymore, because she already tried to throw her points at us, and they will have been dismantled. She doesn't have an accountability structure for that. But someone who's actually committed to empathically taking accountability already is prepared at all times to actually take accountability responsibly. Because they're what? They're not ashamed to be wrong. They're happy to reconcile with people correctly and lovingly. You see the difference? So all this reveals what the underlying tendencies and personality traits of the person are. Not good. But it continues. Also, I didn't agree for our issues to be placed onto YouTube. We've discussed this multiple times before, and we've covered her saying the same thing over and over for months, and I'd give her full answers as indicated many times in the many prior videos that we've posted in this playlist. Yet, here we go again. It's like some kind of borderline dementia / arrogance almost, that even though it was correctly stated why we're in this position, morally speaking, that it's justified for it to be at this level, she just invites herself to act as if nothing about it was said by me to address that, and that she's just here to just say it again. So this is a renewed offense morally against me. Not good. She continues. And then, you did this anyway to create more controversy. No, I didn't put it so that I could create more controversy. You created the controversy when you did the wrong actions, and then when you further kept offending the human being's dignity. Then I put it on YouTube so that I could do what? Create an accountability structure so that the level of controversy will be limited, and then accountability on the controversy can be overlaid. But anyone watching this wouldn't understand and say, yeah, that's a more fair assessment of the reality of that than her slant, which she just said is the slant and the spin. And then she attempts further to frame that is what's not good. Could be a deal breaker. I'm not looking to make deals with you. I'm looking for you to pay or otherwise get cut off from my life. What deal breaker? We're not in a deal, lady. You took yourself out of a deal a year ago when you have continued your chain of crazy conduct. Could work against a reconciliation. The wrongdoer is the one who decides whether or not they reconcile. How? They're the one who decides whether they repent. If the wrongdoer doesn't repent, the true victim of that situation actually is morally obligated to go against reconciliation himself. I can't invite reconciliation. I can only invite the potentiality of it by inviting you to come repent. If you don't account for your wrongdoings in a manner where is no longer mercy that's balanced and suitable to apply, but only strict justice, you're out. Okay? So that's the spin and reframe job does not work. We continue on. I could only have a discussion with you when all these issues are kept private. Like Pangibasha. Because keep it private, keep it private. Yeah. Only when you show me the special favors that I don't deserve, that's when I'll and it won't even be a help. Keeping it private is what stops me from being able to clearly get validation, vindication, and get justice. So why would I do that? That's like the defendant in court who got arrested for a public crime comes out and says, listen, judge, we can't make it right here in this court. I won't let you prosecute me. Only if you make this proceeding private, then I'll participate in the trial. That's how far removed from context it is. No, Barbara, you're not getting it. You're on trial now. You're the one who's been arrested here and on defense. You don't have the rights here anymore to call the shots. You're guilty. See the difference? Guilty people get public notices put about them. That's part of the natural process of your guilt. Okay? And just trying to spin the facts by defending falsely or falsely stating, no, I'm not guilty. That's just called false denial. The facts are clear. Where are your letters? If these letters are supposed to save you on the level and the basis of what the facts are, where the hell are they then? You do this crap to yourself. We continue. And then, of course, we've got to resolve it without YouTube. And then she says, therefore, because she's the commander and God in chief, therefore everything needs to be removed right now. Like she's becoming hawk mommy again, thinking that that's what actually is morally and merited appropriate in this situation. I want the whole world to see this. Good. Let it be seen that this is how she is. Everything needs to be removed right now. That's when we find solutions. That's she's gonna tell someone who's more. A woman trying to convince a man of something moral is like a guy who actually has his morality down and understands. He has that next level attained in his life. It's like a chicken trying to tell an eagle how to fly correctly. You don't even understand what the fuck you're talking about. But I think Dr. Jesse Lee Peterson correctly hinted at some of these realities, didn't he? He's very right on the money. But in her twisted version, this is the right way to do it. I'm telling you it's not, obviously. She also expects that I'll just be letting her know when I've done this. You see the context problem here? Way disconnected. No, I'm not going to serve Satan by doing such a thing, because I serve God. So that's the difference. Get it? Next. Also, let me now, she imagines in her head, now let me frame myself so that I look like the concerned right person who's concerned about my son's well-being. Also, your well-being should be the highest priority. Also, supplement your income. I can't give you any more money. Yeah, sure. Not that I ask for money. I simply let her know if I happen to be close to starving. And the family's finances, morally speaking, are the only thing that I'd be morally entitled to in a situation where I could be starving otherwise. Why? For a complex number of reasons. I'm still trying to get certain things diagnosed, which later, after official medical recognition, can help thereafter support a proper disability application or publicization of my matter in a way that makes sense. Important. And she concludes her message. Stay well. Right, why the fuck would you... It's all just nonsense. I think when one of my friends handed her the original lawsuit that I included her on that she was getting sued for, she just smiled and thanked him and said, "Oh, great, have a great day." And then my friend came back down. He's like, "Dude, something's wrong with your mom." Like, I could tell when I'm looking at her in the eyes. I'm like, "Yeah, what do you mean?" She just smiled and acted like there was no problem when I handed her a lawsuit paper. And I'm like, "Yep, she's always been like that," I told him. She's always disconnected contextually from the situation. She just acts like an automaton that's poorly programmed. Okay? You continue. I tell her in correct response, actually, well, you decide if it's correct, huh? I say, actually, it is fully correct and morally right and very necessary for the issues involving any wrongdoing of any person to be publicized whenever they've done wrong, where such wrongdoer unrightly withholds repentance, which is never correct, virtually. This is what Christ says. This is what the church says. This is what God says. This is what the Bible says. This is what the Judeo-Christian paradigm completely says. I have found you wrong. Anthony also has found that you are wrong, and yet you've not repented. So how on earth can you invent a new standard from your mind to invent from there that it should be some other way other than the morally prescribed way that it's supposed to be? Every step I've taken is in accordance with the godly instructions from the Bible. What about you? Which steps have you been following? The Basha steps? The you steps? You continue to say, you are supposed to suffer essentially and to be made for sure, certainly uncomfortable by the publicization of the facts regarding what you did. As a natural consequence, as we understand, of course. As I was saying, when you are so reckless such as to allow the perpetuation of such things. What a stupid woman. For 12 months you're allowing it to hang like this. You must be completely incompetent. Any other woman with even halfway right programming would show up and in 10 minutes it'd be solved or done. That, you know the thing by its fruits. If for 12 months she's prolonging this, there's something wrong with the human being. You understand this? It's plain. The bullshit got to the worst level it's ever been starting from last year, October. It's a year later. She went to sleep almost 365 times on 365 nights to just be able to go and fall to sleep without having solved the issue. Huh. You go figure it out, audience, what this looks like. How nice and right and sensible it is. I continued. Therefore, that's how it's designed to be. Because it's meant to discourage you from doing the same stupid mistakes again. Multiple times you've tried to suggest that you just want to explain your point so then everything can be put behind us because you explained it simply, see? I say, I don't think you yet realize that your explanations will not have this effect. Are you delusional? You continuing to withhold repentance is exactly the thing that is prolonging the situation and prolonging its deficiency. Didn't I explain it to you that the only way to resolve any matter where you did wrong is to properly repent? What I put onto YouTube is there also in order to allow you to easily behold and review these matters. Because you are so terrible of a mother, as I reasonably see it to be, that it is now the case that for nearly 12 months we don't have normal communication or interaction or relationship or life. The reality of this fact is the result of the thing that you did that is your fault. You are the one at fault for perpetuating this situation that it got to this point, regardless. But of course, women in some of their more faulty programming in their base nature is what? A woman by nature in programming doesn't want to take responsibility. It's against it. That's why she's, in the traditional world, she sought men. She sought to attach to man structures to derive as a beneficiary off of it and protection and finances and support and things, gifts. It was all about take, but responsibility was for the man. So in some olden times, if the woman did a crime, her husband would have to go do the prison time for it. You believe that? It came out of the woman's nature that was for thousands of years before that, or even millions. Women don't want to take responsibility. So they don't understand my fault. They're like, what are you talking about? I just am. That's just okay. You are supposed to be saddled with the problem as an inheritor if I did anything wrong. I don't understand. It's all part of that programming. See what I'm saying? We continue. And how to deal with it is another complex issue. Because that's actually, if the true master rule is that if you don't take responsibility, you're not allowed to ever be found in a position where you're guilty of anything. You get it? Those two go together. So if you're not responsible, it's therefore because you are a slave. So therefore, don't challenge your slave status. You must obey the ones who are in control of you. Then there's no problem. Sure, you don't be responsible. We'll feed you, we'll clothe you, we'll house you, but you can't disagree or cause any problems with us ever. You see, so loss of responsibility is co-linked with loss of status or with even the capacity of physical freedom to do wrong or to ever even try to get away with it. You can't have it both ways. We continue. Regardless, let us see what you will say within those sets of writings of yours where your excuses and defenses and justifications will reside. Since you have not yet apologized, but I still hold you wrong, I still hold you as being the wrongdoer, and I hold so correctly as I see it, then naturally it will be the others within this world who will decide who is wrong and who is right. If you don't like having your matters placed at risk of publicization, life lesson from God himself through us, simply don't allow yourself to ever become guilty of offense against other people. Duh, it's that simple. You would think that you would write it, send it to her, she would read it, and then that there'd be a long-lasting change in her brain, immediate change of behavior that's forever thereafter because of the super full plasticity of the brain, right? Wrong. Not with people like this. We go on. You say that your, quote, ideas to explain that in your opinion that I've made incorrect statements? Firstly, before proceeding, does the moral evaluation of everything and anything that you've done turn on the correctness or incorrectness of any set of things that I've said? Regardless of that, while I do hold I'm right, and by the way, I don't speak carelessly. I have a reputation of being very accurate with my words. All right? Something else that you've said that's also alarming is that, is in your opinion? Huh? So you do not even hold it as a fact that I've somehow misspoken? It's just that your opinion? Do you even know what you're saying? This is obviously insulting to anyone who'd be in my position, being being given this kind of charade and this circus. As for sending you more videos, which puts you behind, are you complaining that your own grown son is expressing how he feels to you, which he has to do via YouTube because you've dishonored him? So I'm not able to. There is no step one that's active anymore. You dishonored me a year ago by trying to cut me off and treat me as if I'm worthy of being cut off, which is impossible and insane and immoral fully on the face of the matter without any need to further dive in. Virtually. So get real. Shame on you. Correctly own the shame and allow your nervous system to process the shame and fully realize it, admit and confess, yeah, you're right, I'm guilty, I'm sorry, my son. That is what makes sense, because only more and more people are going to come to agree with me, and as the increasing pressure continues to mount, then you're guilty and liable and deserving of the increased pressure because you're the one who withheld unreasonably the apology at the earlier stages. And then now she wants to go and say, oh no, go back to step one, go back to privacy. No, you waived the privacy originally, as will be clearly said later in the text line. It just never ends. Continues. I said to her, I didn't put videos on YouTube to create more controversy. You were the one who created the controversy, as I commented earlier correctly. I resumed, and now I am having to clean up after you and manage it because you never learned how to treat other human beings properly. I'm not, and I'm almost sick of it because she just keeps dragging me through the same circle over and over and over again. It's the same circle. We've been on this circle loop before multiple times. I'm like, I'm not even gonna review Matthew 18 again, which I already made clear to you multiple times, several times in fact, over the years, both in person and then again now via YouTube. You're still trying to challenge the propriety of the steps of the Judeo-Christian paradigm. You should already know what the correct steps are, why I'm doing it, and correctly, why it's being done this way, and why you are wrong for suggesting that I do anything different, and selfish, and a bad mother. Continuing on, also very alarmingly, while I already implicitly warned you many days ago on this text line to, in essence, make sure that you keep the peace and do not turn over this text line to a mode of antagonism. Now today you've abused this. I have to take a screenshot of this, and then I have to send this to her again. Hold on here. I'll do this live right now. I resume as I was saying, also very alarmingly, while I already implicitly warned you many days ago on this text line, and this is very alarming, this kind of treatment of a man drives him fucking crazy. You don't understand? So you're guilty if you're making people go crazy. Because you don't do that to people if you care about people. Get it? Should be obvious to anyone who's empathetic and not obvious to anyone who's cluster B. We move on. I said, many days ago on this text line, I warned you to, in essence, make sure that you keep the peace and do not over this text line turn into a mode of antagonism. But today you've abused this. You are the one who needs to apologize for breaking this peace. Keep track of whether she apologizes, doesn't apologize, or ever becomes guilty of trying this again, despite of this rebuke here. So you're extra wrong. So moral karma. God will bring the correct punishment on her. See? Good. And continue. Absence of an apology means we will not be having direct communication here either. I already told you. You know what? Some of this is my fault because if I'm not enforcing anything, see, I should have just stopped it right there because I didn't get an apology. Looks like the lesson's mine to learn. Why? Because I overlooked it. I just ended up getting more abuse and mistreatment. You'll track it. This I'm going to expose all this for what it is, and then there is going to be the proper intervention. We continue. I already told you that Anthony's out for now, so why would you even risk violating my dignity and upsetting me? This is mind-blowing, because it will result in more isolation and difficulty for you. It is you who are doing this wrong. You stated that you, quote, didn't agree for the issues to be put onto YouTube or otherwise publicized. That's like catching the robber of the house, and then after he's arrested and there's public notice of trial and he's in the newspaper, he goes and complains to the newspaper, I never agreed for you to put about me anything in the newspaper. Do you see the problem there? Very good. Very astute. That is exactly why any wrongdoer in Barbara's position automatically fully loses a right to complain about publicization, where we already tried in good faith to work this out at lower steps before, which will be more explicitly discussed a little later. I continue. Same is here with you. Now, if I wrote this to you with clear words and she beholds it and reads it, shouldn't something be upgraded within the software of her brain? So track later and see if it shows that it's upgraded or if it's not. So you will see for yourselves the deficiency of this person's actions. I continue. That's why you're naturally supposed to be careful in life, generally, anybody and everybody, how you treat people. Okay? I also just told her, ask for funds, just letting you know, I don't have any other sources of income lined up, just so that you understand. You can imply and understand the difficulty from that. So, as a family, we'll do and manage however we do. And just a little further, I say, regarding the questions I asked you, have you gotten a chance to review the ChatGPT conversation, which was now sent to your email address? Probably, you should make extremely careful and thorough review of that conversation. It is very important. It is, among other things, essentially a template for how any other natural person who's properly, morally, reasonably calibrated, fully and correctly, ideal human being, how such a person will also tend largely, not completely, in the same way to receive the information regarding this. If you disagree with something that the ChatGPT AI has said in its analysis that it made within that conversation between me and him, me and it, well then after you finish reviewing that conversation from the document that was emailed to you, it'll be very interesting to hear about that. Let me know. Continues on a little later. She writes, I could offer you food next month. You don't need to be hungry. It doesn't end. Indignation patterns never end from people who create indignation. Even when your indignation is wrong to create morally, you're not allowed to make it. That's what the basis of morality is, essentially, is true. So, but from people who constantly give indignation, it doesn't stop. Even when you tell them to stop, they just keep doing it. It's some kind of blindness. So what do I say naturally? And now you just did it again. What mistake did you just make now in offering to bring me food again? Have I said anything about this before? And has Anthony? So therefore, why is it wrong for you to just have said what you just said? Is this showing respect? Her answer, the problem is that you don't hear me. You see, because now there's very limited income within the family structure generally, so until this gets solved, emergency situations need to apply. It's not criticizing anyone. It's just a statement. You see the moral surgical removal of responsibility? So she actually did do something disrespectful, but because in her mind is justified. Why? Because it's just a statement. That's why it's okay. Tell me how much sense that makes, guys. And also, she's also essentially representing it's justified. Why? Because there's limited income. Therefore, I get to impose something on you that you don't want because I said so. Is it a meritable situation? No. Did the money that she wants, if she wants to come and bring me food, first of all, it's an insult on the face, so I reject it. But let's say we lived in another parallel universe with a different person who's fine with this because they're not arguing as much. Okay, why would she bring him food? How much money did that food cost? Okay, so take that money, don't make the food, but if that money is available from family funds, that money goes to me. I don't want anything to do with you otherwise. Don't take that money and go make food for me and give me some. See that? So it's not an emergency. Just I don't want the value of that in food form because I don't want anything of yours energetically to give to me because you're in a wrongdoer's hell circle zone. So I don't want to accept anything from you. And right afterwards, she said, "So then what will be the solution then?" Empty mind is what we see, apparently. My answer to her, "I do hear you," is what these people who think that I don't hear them seem to understand. I see from more than one place, actually. And it's like, stunning, no stupids. I hear all of you. I understand exactly every imaginable aspect of the circumstance. It's you who are not hearing me. And with my advanced male brain, sorry guys, it's a fact. High GABA B upregulation super god here already called it and determined it to be true in ways that you yourselves can't even appreciate. Men are much smarter than women. Figure it out. We continue. You should accept there's caveats to it. And in America, it's the least true because of chemical inversions. Yeah, that's pretty much essentially the truth. We continue. We'll stay on track as to what's relevant and germane here for us. You should be doing nothing except listening to the eldest living male within your family line. Why would you think I don't understand exactly what you're informing me of regarding the limitations of family income and the practical circumstances by this? Rather, is the error not with you for conflating that issue with the issue I'm raising regarding the offensive, morally speaking, aspect of the thing you're doing, which I told you about already to stop? I told you if I change my position regarding food, I'll let you know, but I do not at this time ever intend to do so. Ah, you see that on the screen, don't you? Well, she said, okay, let's just put aside our differences, restore the relationship, but then is this here showing that actions consistent with that? No, her brain reset again. Uh-oh. Don't get it? Ask her, did you not ever receive that text from me? That's it. If your gut intuitive response to this question of mine here is, oh, it doesn't matter if you told me because I just felt like asking the same thing again. For what I feel is good reason, that's what, I don't need to consult you. I'm God. Once I decide it's fine, it therefore becomes fine unto everyone else, even if they don't like it. Garbage human being that only would mean that you are. I continue. If that's how you think, then you might not be only guilty, certainly, of repeated offenses for sure, but also likely bearing some type of personality disorder traits. For normal people would not do and say what it is that you just did and said. Do you not understand this? I continue. For it is your indifference to the things that I say to you that is among the deepest roots of the problem here. Do you understand this? Normal woman would take accountability, realize she hurt someone, so therefore she is wrong, so therefore she has to be sorry. No, the programming in her brain is completely different. So what does she say? Unbelievably more frustration. She says, the problem I see is that we have different views what happened. I see everything in completely different light. Well, in the light of the commentary and context clearly established here, and that men desire respect, reverence, and dignity in order to function correctly, so therefore you owe that, and you fail to give that, who's wrong? You are. Because it breaks what? The rules of God. So is her refutation here sensible? Or is it deflecting? I don't know. I just see it in a different color. That's why it's okay. That's the only problem here. Not that I did anything wrong. It's just that the colors are off. It's not right or wrong that it's different. See the problem? Evasion of responsibility taking. Not good. And then in her idea, in her mind, she attempts to suggest how she's going to now, as if from a position of authority, she's going to instruct us how to solve this, as if she's the authority on how to do it. Oh, you're so blind. Who would listen to you? No one. But she nevertheless continues, to solve this, we absolutely have to have another independent person who'll give us honest opinion. That's what I did. His name was Anthony. He already told you that you appear already to be hugely wrong in many ways and factors in this situation. And he was only getting started. And he continued to keep learning more and more. And has been. Very, very slowly, though. But it was what was happening. That gave enough of, but here, despite this fact, she says we have to have another independent person. Oh, what? That independent person also disagrees with me and agrees with you, my son? Oh, then we just need another one then. Keep swapping out until if she thinks someone there eventually is going to save her. Because she lives in a bubble where she tells her boyfriend her version of the story. He never gets it from me. So he offers her only complete validation. Yeah, the Jonathan, he's terrible. Yeah. Oh, you are right. He's so wrong. So she lives in an isolated bubble, cut off from that, and only couched herself with, basically she designed the yes men. Even this guy who I hate to fucking death, even if he were to be stood in front of me fucking and told this shit and beheld this, even he in his stupidity, still with a man brain, would come to understand and be like, huh, that's funny. I didn't understand that aspect of it. It was never told to me by her. And then he would form more correctly like, actually, I see the problem here. I can guarantee you this. Huh? She makes it that way that he doesn't come into contact with me. Because the more he'd come into contact with me, he would be led to understand the fuller scope of the thing, which would destroy what? Her invisible illusion castle that she couches herself with in high insulation. Unbelievable. So because she's used to that, therefore she would get away with, functionally speaking, with gaslighting me. That for the first time in my adult life, I'm learning through the Bible's encoding. Oh, turn to other people. Of course, it was right. I turn to other people, and then she's like, what? That's unacceptable. Keep it private. No, lady, that's not what's moral. Oh, he's not agreeing with me? We'll get another one. No, you're not getting it. ChatGPT is another neutral, rather objective party giving full analysis. Actually, even better than Anthony. Yeah. But this is more control frame. By the way, who's that new objective person going to be? By her, I just found someone. They accept Medicare. Come to therapy because that's what I wanted for you. It's all about her plan. Get that son of mine into therapy. That's when I win. That's when my objectives get complete, even though he's morally, manly, wise, sovereign to deny it. Because if he's in therapy, that reinforces what? The frame that I originally was trying to establish, which is that he's bad and defective. See? He's in therapy now. It's because he's been defective, and he agrees he's defective. Because he consented to therapy. So therefore I was right. See, he's defective because he's in therapy. You see how that works? That's how the woman's mind works. Same ways as snake in the Garden of Eden and Satan. That's evil wiring, not honorable from God. She continues on, I only want the best for you, but I won't allow any abuse to take place. Yeah, except the abuse that you give, which you won't admit is abuse. So to you, it's not taking place. And the thing I'm giving to you, Mom, here, as everyone can plainly see, this is not abuse. This is correction and a correct accounting system. But you will falsely call this abuse here by implication. So you're implicitly accusing me here falsely of having made abuse here. Where does anyone see abuse? People are not happy with this now that they see correctly, huh? And they scrutinize that part there, yeah. And the mother even says, I want the best for you, but I won't allow any abuse. Nice reframe deflection job. Anyone can see it clearly. Doesn't impress me. Doesn't impress anybody else who's looking at this. So I'm happy to make this shown and visible for people. Because you're guilty of the one who tried that stupid statement and tactic on me now. Eh? So don't do that. Or you're guilty, you pay the price, which is to have it shown for what it is, that other people can correctly regard you as the wrongdoer that you are. She continues on, even if we have differences of opinion, the language we use needs to be appropriate. Yeah, except that, if she's guilty of provocating a human being to the point of beyond anger, that I'm now expressing anger because a normal person, and by the way, psychologically, is not healthy to hold it in. So when you're the parent, you're guilty of traumatizing that child with emotional abuse regularly over the years, such that it gets to this point that I have to treat her as if she's the child and the stupid one. That's abuse. See the magic reframe, repaint job? No. That's not abuse. That's not inappropriate language either. See, to her, I didn't say, fuck you, bitch. Did you see any of that? No. So what inappropriate language? Exactly. We've seen clearly from this text conversation, this is the same kind of mode that I interact with her, generally speaking. What inappropriate language? Anything to her that's her son not worshiping her is to her is inappropriate. Because the language isn't right. The language should be just you worshiping me. Sick. We continue. We can't solve anything, bringing constant controversy to the end interaction, where the implication by the statement is that I'm somehow bringing the controversy. No. In anyone's eyes who's plainly looking at this, I'm not making more controversy that's unmerited to make. You're making the problems, and I'm having to respond to it. Stop doing that to me. I like a normal, easy time. You don't get it? Fucking stupid woman. Dr. Emerson Eggerichs correctly stated that there's studies done in one of those videos where they said, when you upset a man, they found in the studies his heart rate jumps up to 99 beats per minute. He's in warrior mode. He's aggressive, of course, because evolutionarily speaking, you don't threaten men because men will fucking and fight and kill. Woman could be looking like she's a fire-breathing dragon. Rah, rah. Meanwhile, her heart rate's normal. And the crowd went crazy. They're like, oh my, what the fuck? Oh God, that's crazy. Yeah. That's why you don't do this kind of shit. Hell. That's why women amongst themselves, they get argumentative and bitchy with each other. Just a kind of normal flow of life. Men can't do that with each other. So we had to learn evolutionarily how to really get along. And then because of that, we do. Because if you don't, you get fucking killed. You get it? We have completely different wiring. And that's why when you do cross relations between men and women, it has to go a certain way or the whole structure breaks down. You're not allowed to cross on man's dignity. How many times do I have to make this clear? So you think playing reframe games like this honors my dignity or brings my heart rate up to 99 beats per minute, as Dr. Emerson Eggerichs would say? So who's responsible for that? Oh, if you're an adult, unconscious being who is presumptively taking on moral standards of society, when you don't show that corresponding love to your son and compassion and empathy and correct regard and treatment, you and only you are responsible. But then she diverts to her false woman programming, that part of her DNA, which says, oh, but wait, women don't take responsibility, so I don't understand. And the whole system breaks. Defective woman, though, just through and through, as we see thereby. You know a thing by its fruits. If a situation in which a woman's involved in is not peaceful, it's because the participants have something up. At least one of them is thereby necessarily defective. It should be clear. I continue. In response, I have been, on the whole, quite fair in my handling of this situation. Go ahead and hurry, then, and make it clear how you see this situation. You cannot just say, oh, I just see the situation differently, and then expect that only because of this, everything you've done magically becomes okay. If you just saw things differently, but it ends up that you've been seeing things wrong, which would be the thing that would lead you to act the way that would be the wrong way in hindsight, then it is you and distinctly you who needs to be apologetic, repentful, remorseful, and ultimately, right there as you see it, that's the only way for you to be. So where is it? Where's the apology you owe me, huh? It's as simple as that. Regarding a moral witness to the situation, it is obviously the prerogative of the victim and not the abuser's prerogative as to who's going to be brought in and how the situation is going to be managed. This is a theme and concept that was already reinforced multiple times before and presented even more thoroughly than prior videos. It must make the audience's hair be pulled. My own mom must be the only member of this audience, functionally speaking. There actually is virtually no real audience at this time. She's the only one watching this. But these are being saved for in case ChatGPT and a full moral witness completes to the fullest extent the review and there's still no apology, then I'm going to be posting these links actually live and everywhere. And then thousands and tens of thousands of people really will see this. I'm prepared and ready. Do you understand? So it has to, only sorrow and remorse by the consequences teaches a person and rewires them. I've got many stories in my life that illustrate this point. But we'll proceed forwards. It's my prerogative and not yours, as I was saying, to go to whoever I see fit and to have them behold the situation that you have created. Did I ever state that I agree to involve anyone else other than whoever I've strictly selected? Hey, in context, yeah, that's just frame control, situational control attempts by the one who's actually wrong. Uh-oh. And they continue to demonstrate that nature by their continued demeanor. It goes on. I say, if not, if I haven't stated such a thing, that I agree to such a thing, then what makes you think that you can just decide for us, you being the wrongdoer, what format and course of action will be taken here? Guys, help me. It's as if I'm speaking the clearest English in the world, yet it's as if I'm not saying anything to her. What is it? Help me. Fuck. Is this sane? Go read the conversation I had with the AI. I'm possibly thinking about including something with it. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. And then, as I went on to say, then go and resume addressing the YouTube videos after that. The conversation there, it's highly important for you to behold and understand. I said multiple times, yet I've heard nothing about this. So you see how much this woman cares about actually restoring the dignity of the person whose dignity. She's only concerned about her own dignity, even if it's not the one that is by merit fit to be honored. False programming all goes from chi, that's all she understands. But if it's false, then you got it wrong to begin with. The foundational presumptions upon which the presumptions were set were the ones that are already wrong, even more deeply, and then more under that even. You need to go back and reassess the whole thing. Even how, is this how you breathe? No, this is how I breathe. Oh, and the whole life changes because you're not deep enough at the lower root yet. The very way you're opening your eyes is wrong to begin with. That's how deeply wrong it all goes. Okay? Go even deeper. Hell. Continue on. I say to her, you say you won't allow abuse? What part of your brain doesn't understand that it is you who at every turn originated the initial and original instance of abuse? True statement. Do you realize that when you make provocation to someone in reckless manner, that when they are provoked into anger thereby, such that they are rebuking you, therefore in reaction, out of their own anger, that the content of their anger is not abuse to you, but rather is the natural reaction that you precipitated and invited by your own carelessness? Do you understand that by this it becomes you who are karmically and morally responsible for the manifestation of that? That, in other words, you're responsible for that anger and for their conduct towards you, and not the one who's rebuking you? We covered this in many instances already. I'm tired of it. Even my own breath has a freaking limitation. And maybe it shouldn't. We'll see. I go on to say, do you realize on account of this, that this rebuke of you that is done with anger as a result of an anger over fucking neatly worded texts, like this is, and she won't even honor the text. We don't even speak to each other anymore interactively. She lives 20 seconds away from me in another apartment here nearby. Is this insane? How you live someone close by that you get away with justifying to treat them this way? Go to hell and burn there forever. You deserve it. Unrepenting for this would be you deserving it. Sick. You should have shame that you allowed this situation to get to this way. That's what you're not getting yet. You continue. I said, do you realize then that... Well, I said, do you realize on account of this that rebuke of you that is done with anger as a result of your own carelessness is not abuse? You know, nice reframe job, but not really. It's not nice. It's sick. I said, do you realize then that such claim is made by you only pursuant to a disingenuous and completely unethical and inaccurate attempt to reframe the situation in perspective? Seems so. We beheld that fact very apparently. I continue on. Do you not understand that when you are rebuked for your abuse, your offenses, and your inconsiderations, your sins against me, and for your sins against me, that it is correct and necessary for not only me but any and every grown man on this planet to do this, even to their own mother? Absolutely. And even the Islamic leaders that I featured in the other compilations within this playlist in earlier videos clearly represented, held, and expressed the same thing. No surprise. We continue. I say, and she saw those. So if she clearly saw the Islamic man go, rebuke even your mother, and then just because he said that should have resulted in my mother falling down on her knees and start worshiping the screen off of which that was playing. And the immediate life-changing new behavior would have immediately become crystallized within her and emanating from her forever. But that's what good people naively think that everyone else is doing too. That they're just as plastic and are capable of, there's just as much plasticity in them, and that they're able to turn on a dime effectively to upregulate immediately. What's wrong with you hard-headed idiots? That's what they used to call in the Bible stiff-necked. Even, those of us who descended from the Israelites and the Jews were considered to be the stiff-necked people, but not to our credit. Something to think about. Now, there's some stiff-necked here, stiff-neckedness continues. And in other places, God said, give up your hardened hearts made of stone and swap them and trade them, in essence, for hearts of flesh. And then you become alive and correctly functioning. Wrong to have a heart of stone. You get it? But you're as stone. You're petrified in your position, Barbara. That's why you're not flexible and mobile and active. Remember the old Chinese saying, the reed that does not bend breaks. You're all lost. I continue in saying you don't understand this because woman's nature is to only imagine that she knows best when actually man's mind is almost always, virtually always superior as God planned and designed it to be. When it's particularly functioning and working correct, and you're not poisoning our water and our food and the rest of us with pharmaceuticals and other things precipitating crazy disorders and imbalances that did not exist in nature 100 plus years ago. Goes on, your only job is to be quiet. Morally speaking. In essence, it's true. It doesn't sound nice or polite. We lost the consideration of niceness and politeness. You don't merit this anymore. Simply realize you are wrong, which is what you're obligated to do morally. Yes, it's true. So that's it. Can't argue there. And two, listen to any man on what is correct and how to proceed. Go ahead. You'll see other Christian pastors, Jesse Lee Peterson, for example, on the playlist on YouTube featured prior within this set, also supporting this. He happens to be correct. Smart man. You say we can't solve anything by bringing constant controversy into the situation, where you attempt to reframe the situation by this comment to make it look as if I am the one who's putting this wrongly somehow into further controversy that's unmerited for me to be making or doing. Nothing about my actions has been unmerited. And that's the part that's clearly observable by anyone looking in at this situation. Thank God. All right? Trying to make it look as if it's something bigger or that I'm somehow wrong in a way that's beyond what's merited. However, your reframing of this aspect of our matter is what's incorrect. It is wrong. I told you before that you are the one who bears the responsibility for creating and unreasonably extending the controversy. Who can disagree with this? I continue to say, what kind of sick mother allows a situation like this to go on for 12 months with her own son? How are you able to sleep at night? Are you sick in the head? It appears that there is some kind of problem of some kind for sure. I say my handling of this situation is correct, because it requires genuine repentance from you and complete atonement in order to pay for the debt of the mistakes that you made. Not to keep it private and furthermore keep denying you of validity. That's why it can never be even allowed to result for her correctly. My correct job as a man to serve God is to correctly deny her the fake affirmation. That's not my role. In the prior videos, correctly established, the parent is there to be the one who serves the child. It's not a two-way street, it's a one-way street. If you're not doing that, you're in violation of God's commandments. That's it. I continue on. In the event that you refuse to pay the moral and karmic debt by repentance and atonement, this ensures both that you learn your lesson to the fullest extent morally possible, and it prevents you, in other words, when the final step of ostracization kicks in, from being in connection to your own son insofar as you hold to your evil ways. Why? For my own protection, my own sanity. Because every time she reaches out and puts this, you're robbing me of my peace and my sanity, and instead I get 99 beats per minute because I want to kill every man to the same figurative levels, brought to the same level of figurative speaking. They just want to kill because you're making them see red in their eyes, stupid. So fucking get a damn brain. Understand? I'm not actually planning to kill. I'm saying that you're making someone feel that pent up and angry because of you, so you're guilty for allowing that. Don't do it. What kind of love is that from a mother? Puh. It is that which is my responsibility, as I was writing, and I am doing it almost perfectly, or as good as any human being can ever do, given what you put that person through, given the trauma that practically results in the other issues and complexes and dysfunctions. I think given and all of that, I'm doing a pretty damn good job, I think. I say I already chose an independent person. His name was Anthony. He beheld both of our conducts and the facts as well, and determined that you are the one who has been wrong. He happens to be suspended at this time from further involvement, so I may involve both ChatGPT AI and another person as well to be a further witness. You still need a human element in there too, so that later, if other people are then hearing about it, they don't just come to understand, oh, that barber was wrong. Why? They're not all going to review 35 fucking long ass videos. So you need a shorthand person who's a corroborator. So it can't be me, because as it was represented in the Bible, you need 2 or more people to agree on something. That's where God is. So the witness becomes a corroborator upon the finalization of his witnessing process. That's it. So it'll be me as corroborated with someone else who's in agreement. Like we're jointly affirming, yes, we took the time to look at everything closely. We agree now on the face of the matter, on the file, on the folder, you can put the stamp, that label. She is the one who's wrong. And we could pass that off without being outright slander, because it was looked at and affirmed that there's a reasonable basis to hold the thing. Beautiful. We continue. After 2 witnesses, if we still cannot get the damn sense, then the whole public shall become entitled to review the matter, and they may be given express notice through all this to discover and review this matter on their own too. It'll be open for them to review if they want to. If they don't feel like taking our word for it, well, it's all right here, everybody, where this is my moral right to do on account of the wrong that you have done. Hey, everybody, has everything I've written not been clear enough? Because the way I'm being treated by her is that as if it's not clear enough somehow, but then I'm puzzled because it's like, why? For sure the defect is over there with her, because this is so fully comprehensive and complete that any normal, moral, sensible person would get it. Therefore, what's the implicit revelation? You're therefore being functionally exposed by your own behavior as what? Not being normal, moral. Okay, good. We see it. We agree. So get out. Get out and stop troubling us and burdening us. I continue. You should get a therapist for yourself. Who the hell are you to control other people's lives? You go get the therapist for yourself. You're the one obviously who needs it the most, it seems. Give them just the link to the playlist. If you want them to be that witness, but you want to force me to go along with you, it doesn't work like that. You want me to sit down in front of somebody? I might be open to it, but here's the prerequisites. Number 1, my actual witnesses first corroborate to them directly. Oh, we already determined that your client there, Barbara, she was the one who was in the wrong. My guy John here was in the right. Poor guy. He was the one who was victimized. So then he was led to go think, interesting. Then secondly, we hand him the whole playlist link So he opens it, spends unbelievable amount of billing hours of time. So my mom's going to pay $20,000 worth of billing time to get one man who's a licensed professional to pay hour by hour to review for fucking 30 or 40 plus hours or more, all this content, okay, which will include my side, and it will also include, as fully as possible, everything she's saying too. So it's a full account of the complete, both sides got the fair hearing. He'll come to his own determination. Then when he's sitting there with all of that in mind, that's the first minute that I'm willing to step foot into his office, because then it'll be a 2-minute conversation and not a fucking series that my mom is hoping thinks will happen where I'm somehow going to be the one who gets to sit there and become corrected as if I'm a co-patient of his. I'm not. I'm coming in for 2 minutes after that as the real creditor who did the private process already privately beforehand. And that's a reference to something obscure that most of you won't understand the reference to. Some old sovereign citizen thing, which most of you also don't know what that means. Anyway, you know, at that point, I'd come and sit down in that office, and then he'd be like, okay, I spoke with Anthony. He conveyed to me the substance of it. Then I took a look at the playlist and watched all 30-something videos or more. Many, many hours. Now it's 2 months later, because I have patients all day long, and I actually have a life. And then I have the tight time I have private, it goes to other people, so... You know, for that, it really, I had to get paid a lot to review this. So my mom's stupid. What is she imagining? None of this makes sense when you're a crazy lady who doesn't see she's crazy. That's the most crazy, because it burns everybody around her, too. We all want to get away from that. No. So once he does that, then he would say, I clearly understand and agree. You there, John? We're not your patient, but you're stepping in a limited capacity to sit with me to just get a validation or agreement as to what's going on. Yeah, your mother, my client, I understand that she may have made some serious oversights. She doesn't even see what they are, apparently. This also is true. I'll need to continue therapy with her to work her out. She may have some potential issues which will be private between me and her. But I'm very sorry, you know, that son of hers, you that I'm talking to, you know, there's little I could say to you. You know, you even consulted ChatGPT and you included the whole conversations. It's amazing. It's actually completely right. I'm siding with it completely, of course. You know, you were essentially abused. You've gone through a lot, and we need to work with Barbara some more. Okay, so I'm giving you my word that that's what I'm going to do. All right, thank you very much. Have a good day. Say good day. Thank you. See. That's what correct world would actually look like and will. But my mom doesn't want that because it's not part of her vision. See, here's the sickness with women. First, they have what they feel, and then they want to structure the world around them to feed inconsistency with what they already feel. No, guys. First is the objectivity, and then we have to move to change our feeling. Ah, now you're living life. Get it? When those two things conflict, well, which gender did God state must be the head over the other? Ah, there you go. And for no kidding. Not for no reason. And now you get it. So, my mom doesn't want that kind of structure because it wouldn't serve her. It's right, but she doesn't care if it's right. She will make up her own idea of what's right. And what's right is what she wants. That's what's right. So what she wants is, come do this so that you're be dragged inchedly closer to my idea of how life should go for everybody. Garbage. Next, they say, you should get a therapist yourself. Give them the link to the playlist, have them review everything, and then ask them why you're having a hard time reconciling with your son. Let that professional of yours counsel you as to what shortcomings of insight you have that are not apparent to you somehow. Yeah, I get, which shocks me and still does, because those shortcomings are extremely apparent to me and to anyone else who'd be looking in at this situation. I don't need to be involved in your stuff for you to get the therapy that you might need, and apparently do. You don't do wrong against me, refuse to admit your mistakes, and then use this as an excuse to try to force the one you wronged into a joint therapeutic paradigm. That's called kamikaze tactics. You know? Okay, I'll force all those Navy men to take their boats over there. How? I'll blow up the bomb there. Idiot, that's what you're doing here. That's called order out of chaos. You see? You're not allowed to do that as a moral person. But that's how many women are programmed. If they remain in their base nature and they don't really reawaken, they will act like that too. They'll fuck shit up because they believe fucking shit up will serve them. It's all twisted. That is, in essence, Satan worship. You're not allowed. You move on. You don't do... Oh, I said this already. Yeah, you don't do that because you want to. You see how mental and also abnormally controlling that is? Also, I'm asking you once again, at least the third time or so now, how much of the conversation have you read? It's been sent 13 or 14 days ago. All she had to write back was, yes, I will contact you when it's ready. It'll take longer than expected. That's it. So, if she refuted nothing of what I said, the correct presumption is she stands with the full understanding of everything I said. So therefore, if she understands it, there should be no problem after this. Okay? Even if she doesn't state an overt apology, if she changes her conduct substantively to conform it to what the more reasonable expectations were, that might be possibly good enough to handle, at least for temporarily speaking sake. So let's see. Here I simply reminded her a little later, look, I'm letting you know from my perspective, you originally were prepared on the first Sunday of that month to hand the written stuff to us. 3 weeks later, you're somehow less available to do it than you were on that day. I don't understand that. I don't find it reasonable. That being said, I'll look at it whenever it's ready. Then, several days later, I haven't heard anything yet regarding these letters. Okay, it's already past the date which she promised, so of course I'm entitled to respond and follow up. I said it's already Thursday, end of the month now, close to 1 month overdue. Just to let you know I have low funds. I'm eating rice, but things are tight for me. Just letting you know. Okay, several days later has passed. There's been some minor small talk back and forth regarding other side matters. Decent thing, right? Then all of a sudden, by yesterday, Wednesday, the October about 3rd or so, something like this, we get some minor discussions, point 1, point 2, and then her point 3, she just starts saying to me, after everything, the last 2 hours plus of analysis as to what's happened, let's see if this makes sense in context, morally speaking, that it's right and justified. Here we go. 3, work in progress regarding something I brought up with her. You will be notified when I'm done. Need few more days still. Don't forget to remove the videos from YouTube. This is the condition to move forward if you want to make it right. You just can't put them there without giving me opportunity to answer first. This is the right way to do it. Again and again. Holy moly. But regarding the one substantive point which you raised here, this is actually very, very slightly better than what we've seen before. It actually raises something that's worthy of addressing. Without giving her an opportunity to answer? No, despite this was answered already substantively. She has an opportunity to answer, where there's been a witness to every single meeting we've had, an in-person sit-down meeting. There's been only 2, where his witnessing and we corroborate what the facts were in terms of what was said, how she reacted, what she admitted was right and wrong, and that could be put out, should be put out. That's number 1. And the other thing is, everything that she's doing and saying is being put. So you see how we're screen recording her text? So this is her opportunity to answer. These are live text conversations we're having, where she at any moment is answering and trying to account for herself the best she can. These are virtually complete representations of what she has stated on the matters here. We haven't eclipsed or blocked anything substantive and material or substantial regarding what she said as being like kept to the side away from this. So actually, you're constantly given an opportunity to answer. Every single moment of time is your opportunity, and everything that you already have said is purposely being included into plain view within this playlist so that everyone can see it. So this point of yours is neutralized. Everything that's going to come in these deeper letters too will also be carefully reviewed in front of the whole light of the world here, so to speak. So Her opportunity for the fair hearing is a chronic status that's being given and open. So there's no actual proper propriety to complain. So therefore, we know why she's doing it is because she wants to serve her idea, her fake, false demon and God, and not the real morality. She said this is the right way to do it. Here we go again. What did I say earlier? Don't make this a point of contention. I didn't bring this up about posting YouTubes. This was the point 3 that I wrote to her that I asked her about. I simply said, I last heard about these on Saturday the 23rd. It's now early October. Haven't heard anything, so why is it taking so long? Can you please provide a portion of what you already wrote so we could begin writing? I didn't mention anything. This is non-contentious. But we scroll down. This is contentious. This is exactly the opposite. I have to screenshot this again too. Hold on now. There's no way to teach these people except to teach them again and again. And then hire or otherwise acquire other people to pile on doggy pile to get them more fucking taught. Wake up, idiots. God help me. I continue on. Number 1, you should hurry and do this. Whatever. Other things that are outside of the scope of our conversation here. Now, pertaining to the correct point, I wrote to her, thirdly, I hear what you say, but you said this already a few times, and then it does not appear to be advancing forward substantially. Of course, probably the audience here is like, yeah, no kidding. Looks bad. Doesn't look good. By when do you estimate that it should be done? Have you completely read the conversation? Moreover, regarding the videos, you are morally wrong or incorrect in your position. However, I already indicated this to you, yet you still are trying to make a delay. Prior, you've accused me of somehow delaying or blocking supposed progress, remember that, when actually it is you who appears to be doing so because of the delay of all this and the reprovocation on these issues, which is because this naturally causes delay because I have to keep objecting to the bullshit. So, because you're attempting to assert conditionalities that you're not morally entitled to make, I won't proceed unless you get it off of YouTube. Yeah, cool. And when they arrest you, go ahead and tell the judge, I won't go to jail unless you get me a nice big cake that I get to enjoy every day. No, I'm not. I don't have to do that. Okay, unless you find me not innocent, unless you take this and put a gag order on everything so no one can find out about it. No, we don't have to do that. That's not part of how this works. And same here. So wake up. Okay. When actually it is you who appears to be doing so because you're tending to, assert conditionalities not morally entitled to make. Do you understand what is being told to you? This is essentially me repeating now the same thing I already said before. So it didn't land before, and if it doesn't land again, I'm no longer responsible. If this continues, I just will be metaphorically or figuratively just slamming this phone into the wall in frustration, and then just blocking her, and then just telling her, you're stupid. You're fucking just stupid because you keep doing the same stupid shit and being stupid. I can't help you anymore because your brain's not working and your soul, spirit, moral fiber's not connected correctly. Stop it. It's pissing people off. So stop doing that, stupid, because you deserve the problems you get from that if you ever dare to find yourself guilty of it. Are you defective? Continue. Besides the fact that one in my position is fully morally, ethically, and religiously entitled to have this kind of matter posted onto YouTube or otherwise sit in even a semi-public form, also consider this. You are wanting to review all the content and matters of the situation, functionally speaking, aren't you? So that you can fully respond. Is that correct? Yeah? All these letters you're writing, right? They're in response to what? What I've set forward. Oh, okay. However, if I did what you were asking and actually did exactly that and genuinely completely removed such videos, which is what you're calling for, then given our current state of virtually complete practical estrangement, how then would you get to finish the letters that you're trying to write? Do you see how your brain's not working? She's saying on the one hand, I'm going to finish these letters and reviewing these YouTube videos, but also remove all these YouTube videos. So that what? So I can't even see what the hell I'm responding to anymore? so that it arrests my practical ability to continue finalizing this response and addressing the issues in good faith? None of this makes sense if you follow the woman's brain. Do you get it now? It's not designed to make sense. It's designed only to couch her feelings and make her feel good. But that's morally wrong if you're actually a wrongdoer. So even women are responsible to learn morality and abide by it. In a moral, properly run world, it's just mind-blowing. Furthermore, finally, and that she's guilty of hearing, she'll be hearing this. She's here. You are hearing me now on this, and everyone else will be too in the future. If you're stupid enough to not repent fully between now and then. She hears the frustration. It doesn't trigger anything with her. On the October 9th, when I was yelling on the phone, it didn't make her feel sad and cry and love and hug. She just fell silent. There's a breakage in the neural tree in your brain if that's the case. You're dysfunctional. You don't empathetically connect. Monkey, mommy, monkey, son, loving hug. What happened? Ugh. I gross out when I think about you hugging me because you're foreign to me. You never loved me correctly. You're just like this, I don't know what the hell you are, but it sickens me. My dad loved me properly. Other people in life give me a proper hug. You're defective. You're creepy. And you always acted like this towards me substantively. It only became more apparent at the level of form only recently. But you always felt like you're distanced from me. So it's sick. You deserve all the crap you get. It's karmic for you. Plainly simple. No one is feeling bad for you. That's the problem of yours that you inherited. No one's feeling bad for you, and no one would in light of everything. And given everything that's been said, there's nothing you can do or say that would have anyone feel bad for you in the light of the full understanding of the full situation, all the details as presented by both sides fully. That's the biggest indication of all that you're the one who's been wrong this whole time. Duh. We continue. Finally, regarding your ability to preserve and retain responses to whatever is posted, what makes you think that the substance of your own response or position is not also going to be included, such that both sides of the matter are fairly represented? I've covered this already. So you turn to me as the authority then, properly in life, if you're running your brain correctly and your heart correctly, in order to discover what actually makes it right. You see, I don't follow you when you're defective and a poor parent in that aspect. You to your credit, you paid the bills. We had food and a shelter over the head growing up. Good. I got all the strict level material requirements, the deal with the shelter and all that. What else do you have to your credit? Not much beyond that. Huh? So what happened then? Her justification, at least once or more times, even in front of me and Sarah, she used to say, "Oh, I don't know. I gave you that. That's all I'm supposed to do." Basically, what she was implying. Huge gaps there, huge deficits. I continue to explain. I'm a 35-year-old man. See, God appoints the brain of men to be moral and religious policy enforcers and leaders in this world, not women. He's not generally. So, if you try to listen to yourself, you're going to actually be making it wrong. If you listen to the words of the man, that is when, for the first time, by very strong tendency, you're actually moving closer to the will and the order of God by his design. Do you understand this? You make the fault of denying to hear your son both at a direct level, and then when Anthony also is present and agreeing that you do not any longer appear to be guiltless. Then God says in the Bible that it actually says that the required thing is for publicization of the matter of controversy, which serves, among other things, the purpose of ensuring... But see, I'm explaining the same things over and over again, everybody. This is the indignation, that I'm just being led to have to do this because I'm dealing with someone who appears and acting as if they're retarded. Who does that? Who goes back up? We scroll back up. Who the hell does this after all of the above stuff which showed you the heavy pressure of you will not do it again? And just, it's as if nothing. I'll do it again. Help us. Help. Signal. Bat signal. Hurry up. as I was saying, the publicization is required, which serves, among other things, the purpose of ensuring practical consequences for your wrong previous actions. If I listen to you, which no sane man in my position, with the insight level and level of understanding and developed wisdom that we have, would ever do, then do you understand that such a thing on itself, on its face, would be a disobeying of God? God clearly instructs in the Bible, if your parent is wrong on a matter where they're leading you away from God, and then there's the thing you understand rightly about God, and you're like an adult man, you don't go honor your parent and listen to them about it. You bypass them, you hold to what God is saying. Very important. Why would I risk disobeying God to follow corrupt human beings' will, their individual perspective, their individual human beings' individual example of their own will? Why would they follow their ideas? No such thing. You should be happy that your son takes religion and godliness and morality and proper enforcement of godly justice seriously. I take those things seriously. You should be happy about that fact. That is, even if it means that you are the one who gets the inconvenience transiently, but you're the one who's responsible for it. Why? Because you chose wrong. And then when I rebuked you, you still failed to hear and see and understand the rebuke. So I'm no longer responsible for your shortcomings. Okay? Then it means that if it is so, it's because you deserve it. Furthermore, even if it were the case that I'm somehow actually wrong and evil here instead of correct and right, that still wouldn't help one in your case, in your position, because the commandments we're given in the Bible are exactly this. From the New Testament, as Christ represented. But I'm saying to you, you shall not rise up against an evil person if they're supposedly evil from your perspective. But whoever strikes you on your right cheek, turn to him also the other. And whoever wants to sue you and take your coat, leave for him also your cloak. Voluntarily. Don't contest it. Whoever compels you to go 1 mile along with them, freely offer that you'll go with them even 2. Whoever asks you, give to him. And whoever wants to borrow from you, do not refuse him. And thereby, on and on it goes on to represent the... It's actually very beautiful if you read it, I think. It is beautiful. And it goes on at the end, simply, be therefore perfect, just as your Father who is in heaven is perfect. He's not saying you're all sinners and you're going to be that way. That's a newer twist that really is why I don't like how actual establishments of Christianity develop today. You see? Doesn't fit. Something's wrong. This plainly appears to be so. But the actual man himself, who went into a 40-day fast to upregulate his GABA B receptor so that he could attain wisdom, came back and with Buddha-like insight started saying truths. Those truths are beautiful because they're not really from him, the man. They're from the proper high morality encoding from the Akashic record, so to speak, of the highest level of the universe that we call God, and that realm up there that's available for us to see when you have someone who upregulates their GABA B receptors. Ah. That's crazy. A lot of you have seen that movie Limitless. I don't understand. If you had your own son and your own son became Limitless Man, why would you pick him out of all people to contest against? Shouldn't it occur to you that you have the least chance imaginable of succeeding on the merits? Or are you some kind of, it's just in your nature. It's just in your nature to do something, even if it sabotages you too. This has me remember one particular fable or parable or something like this, where there was some animal, a frog, came over to the bank of a river and was about to swim to the other side, and the scorpion came along and also wanted to get to the other side, but the scorpion couldn't. He can't swim. I came up to the frog and said, "Frog, listen, I see that you're swimming back and forth. You want to go across the other side. I want to also get out over there too. Let me come upon your back and I'll ride along with you. I'll stay on your back as you swim to the other side to get me there." The frog smartly said, "Oh, listen, you're a scorpion. If I let you on my back, then when I'm swimming from one bank of the river to the other bank, or from one side to the other side, You could just sting me at any time. I'm defenseless. Why would I let you come on my back if you're, given who you are? The scorpion said, listen, it should be okay that you let me on your back for this swim across, because logically speaking, consider, if I were to just sting you while we're swimming, well, you know that I can't swim, so obviously if I were to do such thing, we would both simply drown, and we'd fail in the purpose. Nobody would win. Why would I do that then, huh? And the frog considered the logic of what the scorpion said to it, and then ultimately felt and realized, yeah, it's rational, makes sense. It would not serve the interests of that scorpion to do so. Therefore, presumptively, it must therefore be safe. Okay, all right, scorpion, come along. Scorpion came on the back of the frog, and they're swimming across to the other side. All of a sudden, while they're in the middle, surely enough, the scorpion sting hits the frog right in the back, and the paralysis onsets, and the scorpion sting starts working its effect, and the frog starts to drown. The scorpion also slips off and starts to be falling under the water as well, slowly. And in their last moments, the frog looks at the scorpion and says, why, scorpion? Why would you do such a thing? You yourself admitted that if you were to do such a thing, it would simply result in both of us drowning, and you wouldn't even get to your destination, and it would just be all for nothing. And the scorpion said to the frog, listen, you are a frog. I am a scorpion. Scorpions sting. Therefore, I stung you here, because the frog was asking, why would you sting me here? It doesn't even make sense. The frog says, I stung you here simply therefore because it is my nature to sting. I am a scorpion. And they both drowned and died. Do you understand what it is? So it's not that the people's actions are sensible. People act according to their nature, not because of what's sensible. But morality is sense, and then everyone who deviates from morality deviates on account of a broken nature. So when you see a mother here who has a son who says, listen, I am morality. I am the structure of God in harmonization with it. Serve God correctly. Come do this. Be good to your children. Love them fully. Be in accordance. Admit your faults. Be with Jesus. Be with the Judaic people, or Jewish too, really, up the mother's line. It's all there. Just fall in accordance with the will of the God of Israel and be one. Be alive. It's the same as if the frog is talking to the scorpion. She says again, take the videos off of YouTube. Now let me bring you some food to your door like you're a dog, but I won't talk to you though. I'll just leave it there, buzz the thing, and then run away. That's for you. I want you to accept that. That's normal for you. Because I said so. Because even though it's sick, I won't say it's sick, because it's my nature. The sick nature still tries to get you to let him on the back so you could swim across the river. It doesn't care about you. Scorpion's nature didn't care about the frog, nor himself. The mom is disadvantaging herself by being disconnected from the son. So the scorpion disadvantaged himself by stinging the frog and falling into the river and drowning. It doesn't matter. Only the nature of the person matters by their faulty instincts. So what's the mother's instinct? Even after I text her multiple times, do not do it. Do not do it. What's next? I'm going to have to install a phone recording device, call her up next time she does it, and yell at her and record the conversation. Because words don't trigger the emotional effect as in-person or live voice conversations tend to. I think that's the problem. I think that text doesn't trigger when you have segmented, isolated parts of your brain and your emotional core is completely removed from the core that has you read things. You know, it's nothing. I'm throwing these complex words at nothing. It's air. What the fuck is the answer with people like this? Stop insulting the dignity of man. That's the first moment that you become closer to God. Wake up. Point of my damn story should be clear enough. We continue. You shall not resist even an evil person, but whoever strikes you on your right cheek, turns him also the other. Whoever wants to sue you, take your cloak, leave from your cloak. Whoever compels you to go 1 mile, go 2, and on and on. And thus, to continue the essence of this, whenever your son, who's your accuser rightly, posts videos about you onto YouTube, then just go along with it and provide even more for him to put onto YouTube. Exactly. What did the rabbi say in video number 36 of this playlist? What does the correct parent do according to godly paradigm and instruction? Implicit instruction, but it's there. All of them know this. Pretend you didn't even hear the insult. Just give the grace. Move on. Continue to give them the thing. Go along with them still. Don't start resisting them. It's consistent with Christ's advice here, in essence. Now we're starting to get it, huh? At every level, it should be clear who's doing wrong and why it's wrong. And then I continue to say, now, it is your turn. Can you find any principle in the Bible that grants one in your position the jurisdiction, right, entitlement, or command, an obligation to compel, as woman and mother, your own grown son to change anything that he does by that grown age? No such thing. Mother's only allowed to teach, in particular when the boy is young, and then simply advise when the son is grown, if you're in accordance with each other and you're both giving Shema to each other, which is that you're in accordance, you're hearing each other. If you've done anything to ruin that relationship upon which a proper Shema of each other can be made, then what the hell are you doing? You have no right or jurisdiction ever to argue. Multiple places, it says you should be agreeing, conceding, and trying to find and refine the peace. Does this look like peace, or just once again asserting the same crap? I'm going to put on the videos. All right, that was already addressed in a giant thing weeks prior. And then again, fast forward. Put on the videos. Blow your head off. What's the punishment for you? What makes it hurt enough that even the scorpion stops being a scorpion? The frog's talking to the scorpion didn't help. Does an actual electrocution device have to come from a man to sting the scorpion's whole body and framework? Then you learn not to sting, right? When does your actual nature change? I'm disgusted. Stop it. There's no proper capacity for you to instruct a grown man, even if he's your own son, how to do something if he says it's to be done different. Then he's morally empowered by God to act however he wants. This is fully consistent with what was said by the rabbi even in video 36. All right, the child has an independent obligation from God directly to generally honor his parents, but of course never to honor in the case of abuse. But even when there's not abuse, even then, if the parent did nothing wrong, even then, the parent is what would be considered from a legal perspective in that, so to speak, contractual relationship as a third-party passive beneficiary, where in a lot of the correct contexts and paradigms, they say bennies have no rights, meaning beneficiaries have no rights. There's a kind of passive right where you happen to get it, but if it's denied of you because of the other one, you have no right to come in and sue for it because it was incidental merely. The honoring of you is merely incidental, that you were the one who happens to get the honor if the son's doing the proper job of honoring correctly. Even when that son is not honoring, you're not really supposed to do it. There's one place in the Bible where it suggested otherwise. It said, initially somewhere in there, it said, take your son who doesn't do well and bring him to the center of the town square. We'll all stone him to death. You know, the Israelites realized later and channeled through their own holy word of God. They revealed where God was further stating, I even gave you bad laws on purpose so that those of you who are twisted would follow those laws so that you would correctly kill and neutralize yourselves. Because actually it would be wrong for you to do that. Mind-blowing, which is an interesting and fascinating subject of discussion and debate within a lot of those rabbinical circles now for a long time. But over time it became more and more clear. It's like, yeah, no. Actually, the parent's responsible if they mistreat the child, regardless of what the child does. And what's mistreatment? even provoking them. All this was made clear. I'm recapping what should have already been made clear multiple times. Except when I'm dealing with someone like my mom, then I have to repeat it 7 times, 10 times. It has less of an effect than if I told a normal person once. I don't get that part. It's not making sense. There's no capacity to instruct a grown man. He's morally empowered by God. You can simply rebuke him at most, but actually, if you're really a loving parent, and particularly the mom, even more so, because it's yin programming instead of yang. At the very least, dad would be the one to violate it and try to put conditionalities, if any of them are ever entitled to do so. Mother, never, and certainly not of all against the male son. What? As I keep showing, this is the most steeply offensive and insulting combination of things of all time. Stop it. With cases of overt abuse, at least you can point at something. Here's where she beats me. Here's where she cracked the skull. It's better because you could help it. When it's covert, it's hard to show. You have to only look at the effect to be like, what the hell? And it's like, yeah, I have no bruises to show, and I have a broken ear cartilage because the man she married then fucking twisted my ear and broke the cartilage permanently. Huh? You know, but when it's more overt, covert rather, it's worse? I'd have rather had my ear torn than what I got afterwards. The next man she brought into the house, he just didn't speak to me. That's fucking even worse. At least the other guy would rip my ear, but then we'd still interact. You fucking morons. I really hope you all end up in the deepest places of hell that you deserve. Idiots. I continue. You cannot feel entitled to tell him as a woman to change his mind and do anything different, such as to expect that he becomes obligated to act differently because you said it. And that doesn't happen. This is you trying to be even as a man, and then not just as a man, but as God yourself, a false God. No such thing. Learn the Bible, learn the deeper meanings, learn the proper order, and follow it. Gabba B master here. Who do you think you're talking to? Continues, the only principle from the New Testament that I can find regarding the relationships between parents and commandments is the same one that was reflected from the rabbinical teaching. Parents, don't anger your kids to the point of wrath. Don't overburden them. Not talking to your kid for 12 months and doing all this is fine? No, it's not. Not by any moral paradigm whatsoever. Wake up. Stand under the guilt. Let it oppressively burden like a yoke around your neck till you're choked with it. Stupidity is from you. Disgusting. You deserve all anger, stupid woman. Good. Get hurt by it. God laughs and says finally she's getting what she deserves. And then when she refutes it, I make it even more worse on her because she doesn't love it yet. Stupid woman. I continue, yet you allow yourself to become guilty of this already multiple times. So how do you think God permits you to be punished? Don't you have YouTube videos now about you posted? Don't you have functional relation problems with your son? From which there should be and would be if you had a good relation, shouldn't this be blessings? But now it's otherwise? You broke the religious laws and codes, and now you're surprised that there's a natural price? Don't be so naive. Jesus said in Matthew 34:39, do not think I've come to bring peace to the earth. I've not come to bring peace, but to bring a sword. I've come to divide a man against his father, and a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law and mother-in-law. We covered this already before. Man's enemies will be the members of his household. So, covered it before. It was ignored. I'm repeating it again. I shouldn't have to state this stuff the third time. If it happens again, I should say, I already told you, take your phone, beat it against your own stupid fucking head until you understand what the hell sense looks like. Then go reread everything, go rewatch all the videos again, and then go talk to your therapist as to why the hell you're not understanding it yet. Then after 7 years of therapy, maybe you'll have a little bit of a developed insight because your brain's so broken it takes that long instead of 7 seconds. Then you'll come back to me and say, oh, okay, I think I understand what's wrong now. And I'll have 7 years of peace because of that. Because me starving in the street homeless is a better paradise compared to being subjected to one word that pisses me off from my own mother, who should never dare to do such a thing because it's disgusting and hurtful. you understand now? So anything where it's you who's actually of this nature, then only separation is what's better and more peaceful than any allowing of being near you. Don't fucking interact with me. If I allow you to interact with me, that's the pearl. But if I put pearls before swine, you cast it aside, trample on it, and then turn next to try to run me through too. That's exactly what you're doing. I give you the courtesy of still allowing to text me. I should have blocked you before because you keep being disrespectful by trying to have a competition again, trying to have an argument and compete, trying to talk. No, you will be turning videos down. Shut the fuck up. It was already told to you once. It will never be taken down. Now you must simply sit and shut the fuck up. But thinking you may dare to even come again is only the next layer of fucking punishment for you beyond that. Punishment doesn't end till you realize you're wrong. Next, whoever loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And everyone who does not take his cross, metaphorically speaking, and come after me is not worthy of me. Whoever's willing to lose his life for my own sake, that is to follow my teaching that represents what true godliness actually is, will be the one who actually finds their real substantive exaltation and life. But whoever will try to hold on to their life in the kind of way my mom is, hold on to my image, hold on to my dignity, will be the one who ends up losing it. Do you understand now how it actually works and what the correct way is? I follow Christ. And really, in essence, through that, I follow the God of Israel above him. And not you. There is no God-based lawful basis upon which you are entitled to attempt to compel me to do some such thing, or to otherwise try to resist the practical effects of what's come forth as a consequence from it. That should be obvious. Regarding what Christ said, let's a gabba be up regulation. Same like King Solomon and Moses. No surprise there. We're still awaiting Messiah ben David to come. And make no mistake, even though I regard Christ as his teachings as being very well in alignment with the God essence and therefore valid to regard them as they are, regardless of who said it. You know, when you go into eschatology and you analyze Jewish and Christian eschatology, we learn interesting things. I don't believe that Jesus is necessarily, as clearly as all other Christians seem to believe, the Messiah ben David. An argument may possibly be made that he was nevertheless the predecessor Messiah, the Messiah ben Yosef, who did what? As rabbis themselves said, it's because of him that the God of Israel was spread to all the nations. Which also the same rabbi admitted in a particular video, that is good for us. So thereby, in hindsight, interesting. So that we ultimately do await the real and last and final Messiah ben David, which in the correct interpretation is consistent with Christian eschatology as well, because they understand, well, Jesus went and he was, let's say, a Messiah or sub-Messiah, the penultimate one, but we're still waiting for the return. So why would they say that? They think they're waiting for Christ. Well, you're waiting for Messiah, but for the real final ultimate Messiah. You'll find out who that'll be soon enough, I hope. May Moshiach come soon. We continue. I say, am I incorrect that you have no such moral right to compel? It looks like the rabbi from video 36 said it clear. So this whole video should be a whole shame session where my mom was crying and agreeing the whole time in the privacy of her own home watching this. If it's anything but that, we're dealing with more dysfunction. All right? Am I incorrect? If so, prove it. If not, then you admit by your silence that it is you who has been the one that is wrong. I keep turning from the New Testament, Titus 2. I regard what the apostle said as slightly lower than just about any other part of the Bible. There's a couple reasons for that, but nevertheless, there's still generally a source of overall net right directions. Although they lose a couple points on some things. I'm not going to get into that now. But it says, quote, even older women are to be reverent in their behavior in terms of how they show themselves to conduct and treat who? Any and all people generally, but even especially who? Men of the prime age who are, above 30 years old, leaders of this community and society. Come on now. Right? The word reverence is in meaning the mix combining elements of respect and what? Fear and awe. Very important. Any woman's son, when grown, is in a sense no longer hers, but belongs to the world, to himself, to the greater community of men within the world, and to God. You are supposed to, therefore, have the same kind of reverence for your own son as you would for any of the grown men of prime age within the world generally. But actually, because the one that is your own grown son is your grown son, actually you're supposed to have even higher levels of reverence for your own and higher levels of awe of him than you would for any of the rest of the men generally. Do you understand this? You're not an elder male in that sense. You're an old woman. There is a difference. You're not a man. Only men can instruct. That's why it was clarified in Titus 2. Older women aren't to act like the older men do and get all haughty and start, turn to me, I'll teach you when you're the woman. No. Okay? Because, from 1 Timothy, I permit not any woman to teach nor to usurp authority over a man, but she's instead to be in silence. That, by the most correct interpretation of all the substantive law that comes from God, means even grown mothers who are going the wrong way when it's with respect to or against their own grown men, sons. Stop having the wrong idea. It's not chi, it's not worship for you. It's all wrong interpretation and translations over the years, mixed with sick Polish culture and other Western aspects of culture that made the sicknesses. And we just see we're all getting worse in the West. Stop it. Kill the ego. I furthermore ask, are you yin gender or yang gender? Does yin try to exert pressure and imperative force to change a man's actions? Or is such thing a yang quality and feature inherently? I'm speaking here to someone, that mother of mine. She's a relatively high-level graduate from a traditional Chinese medicine background and practicing as an acupuncturist thereafter for 2 decades. Hello? Therefore, I think you have something confused. Imagine, such a person with such credentials making such, in actual life, making such mistakes. From the Chinese teachings, a woman is subject to the authority of 3 men during her lifetime. Her father during her early years, her husband during her middle years, and the eldest son of hers within her old age. Understand that? You're not even married to that boyfriend of yours. He doesn't count. He was not accepted by us. We never blessed him with any of that. He's like a freaking outsider that stayed irreconciled to the family. My mom's parents never liked him so much, on the whole, for the most part. And I don't. And he doesn't get approval, and he never has gotten it. So neither in substance nor in form. It's not common law marriage. It's not, I just lived with him for 10 years, so now he's special. No, you're not getting it. That guy's twisting your fucking family dynamics. Either passively or actively. But at least passively for sure. And then you bought into it because you allowed him to influence the way you think as you continue to feed back into him and use him to support how you think. And it's a 6 cycle, and I've been watching you guys go lower and lower in your behavior and action for 20 years. Right? Somehow you're not injecting heroin into your veins to blow your brains out, but the level of decay functionally is active. Is it like that? If I had cameras on the walls, it would have shown how you've been treating and talking. No. It would have shown the whole world how you really have been, you guys, with respect to me. How disgusting. I hate it. I continue here. That law is not made backwards. It is meant to be kept this way as indicated, to be correctly lined with the Tao, or with the way. That is, with the way of God. Any other questions? Trying to suggest to a man what is wrong and what is right when he's at 35 years of age is you trying to implicitly signal him that you still need him around to wipe his ass. That you still have to be there to correct him and remind him how to function better. But that's an insult. Because a man at 35 years of age isn't he's not stupider than the woman who's especially at the older level of age where she is acting the way you are acting. And it's very clear between me and you who has the deeper and level better insight. Next. Especially with regards to morality, it's even more gigantic of a disconnect. That's right. And continue. This in itself is an insult. That poor treatment of yours against me, in essence. For sure. For you definitely are not smarter. So why'd you act that way? Trying to correct what I'm doing is you implicitly acting as if I'm missing the thing that, oh, you have to come save my day now, right? No. I reject all of that on the face of the matter automatically. No, we see for the inversion deflection tactic and attempt that it truly is. And no one would think that what you're trying to do is actually the correct moral law better. Not correct. Good. Especially not if they've watched all the videos so far and seen not so much what I've said, but they are in agreement with what 60 to 70 experts that I've cited within these videos have said, leading up to the most recent rabbi featured. And I continue, and that is why God has man lead himself within the level of this world, but it's woman who is to follow man. She simply writes, regarding her own, there's a separate matter regarding checks for her businesses, there's some missing checks that she never collected that were in missing funds in the New York State Registry that I brought up to her, said, why didn't you claim your thousands of dollars for your checks? I simply reminded her. She said, well, I'll take care of the checks. And then she turns to me and says, you do what you want. In my opinion, here we go, guys. You want to see how a woman will react? You think a normal human being, if you saw all of that, what's the correct moral response? Let me pause here for a second and think to yourselves. All right. It would be to read it, accept it, understand it, that it's correct, agree with it, and then offer what? A reconnection emotionally. You're right, I'm sorry, would be the correct answer. Nothing else, basically. Instead, what do we see from her? You do what you want. See, this is more, I think I'm right, even though what you just told me is correct. I'll just pretend I don't understand. What kind of defective brain structuring is that? I don't know. Somebody help me. You do what you want. In my opinion, if you have something against someone, which it could be true or not. First of all, she was swearing, it's definitely a lie, it's false. Then it became, in my opinion, it's false. Then she changed it into, well, it could be true or not. You see how funny that slide looks like when you cross-analyze it and track it over time? Very funny now to see that in hindsight, isn't it? That in itself is very indicative of what the hell really is going on. So regardless, even though she's substantively admitting over time, it seems more and more likely that I'm not actually speaking falsely, but that I actually may be correct. Nevertheless, does she concede anything? No, she says, well, even if it's true or not, you know, it doesn't really matter if it's true. See that? Anything to escape taking responsibility, right, guys? Continues on. In my opinion, if you have something against someone, it could be true or not. It doesn't matter. Regardless of whether it's true, you sit down and fix your differences privately without going to the courts, meaning like the substantive courts, but even the formal courts as well, perhaps. I already have once on a suit because she what? Said false information about me recklessly, where she should have known it's false, such that it caused me to be held against my will because they, in turn, actually improperly relied on it as if it were the representation of truth without themselves double-checking it. Okay? So when you're accused in a fucking court paper of doing that, why would you then find yourself to be guilty of doing the same thing again, as indicated in one of the prior videos, within that same video? Help! Help! I'm dealing with mental dysfunction, people around me. Help! I'm subject. This is abuse. That is abuse. Being left to suffer the effects of stupidity and stupid actions by people who don't know what the fuck they're doing, so they're acting immorally and thus irresponsibly. That is abuse. Me not being treated correctly by my mother for a year is abuse. Me not being given love and treatment by my mother for a year is abusive to the mind of a man, as was clearly indicated again in video number 36. If you deprive your child of that input, that will destroy them. And then you are single-handedly responsible for destroying them, but because you destroyed them in a way that wasn't deserving that they should have been destroyed, they will likely be destroyed to the extent that they're not saved by God independently of you, because then God has to go around you to go save them directly through other means and to help protect them. You are like in double hell fire for that. That should be clear. Anyone in the world would disagree with anything I've said, state it in the comments of this video, very obviously. Next, she continues. Look at this beautiful claim. So we're going to look at what she stated, and then we're going to do another factual, circumstantial assessment to see if this jives with the reality of the situation. She goes on to say that, well, you're supposed to sit down and fix your differences privately first, or at least give the opportunity for such a thing. And then she furthermore says, well, this never actually happened, as if to falsely accuse me of not having responsibly managed the situation, as if I just immediately jumped to something that went too far ahead without merit. Really? So in turning to Matthew 18, there is what we recognize to be as if it's the 4-step process. Step 1 is turn to the person privately. She's accusing me of not having done that. Keep that in mind, and I'll have a proper answer, and we'll understand this thing in context. Does this audience remember properly what the circumstances are and how this is reasonably not true? Uh-oh. So she's guilty of falsely accusing me again? Yes. So there's that moral bad karma that she just put here in the middle of this sentence here. Go more, add to the bad sin debt in her karmic file. Oh, yeah. Do you get it now? She just simply said, you just got angry, and then you just started to produce videos. Dude, that's the only thing I have to understand if I'm a woman who's old and my brain doesn't work. You just got mad and then did videos. No. There's a moral context that's deeper, that correctly embellishes and highlights the correct fullness and nuanced aspect of this. That when the nuanced aspect in the full light, you understand, actually it is correct. It makes sense what John did. That's what you're missing, huh? Interesting. You place them on YouTube, which is direct violation of Christ's teaching. Really? So when Christ said, if they're withholding the repentance from you, so that they're not hearing you, he said, publicize it, tell it to the assembly, which means publicize it to the broadest level of the society or community that's around you. Wow. Very clear. But she made up her own. But if you're a stupid woman, you're not into any of this, you don't understand religion and morality like this, you just grew up doing the sign of the cross, and your idea of God is, I go to church every Saturday to confess, the same thing over and over again every week, and you think God loves you in this particular way that one would be merited as if you're a fully operational person, morally speaking. You have a blindness problem. She's going to teach me, right? Bullshit. You don't accuse someone of wrongdoing and then make it public without going through the steps. So again, I'm having to wipe her fucking stupid ass. It's at that point. Not good. Talking about it privately will then give you the insight, which is obviously missing on your end. Ha 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 ha. Come, bring the fucking videos. You had 2 meetings worth of opportunity to sit in front of me in person to explain. You had 6 hours of time in total to say any particular sentence you wanted to highlight this. You did no such thing, and Anthony was a witness of this fact. Except by the end of one of those meetings, he simply denied, oh, you said that I never hugged you, but I did hug you. Even though I said, yeah, but your hugs were creepy and unloving, that was the basis of my complaint, which therefore substantiated the validity of my position that I originally asserted. Good, correctly. So therefore, nothing I said was wrong in the substance. The point that was... trying to support by having said that also in itself was not even touched by your attempt to subvert it. Uh, no. And yet you further have an opportunity with these letters you're going to be handing me. Put all the insights in there. Make it 50 pages long or 500. All of it will be gone through and covered. But you see, she finds the insight is obviously missing on your end. Right. Here's the thing. If this is being done in a way that should be open and clear and transparent, here's what else is true. Any claim of yours regarding what insight would be missing on my end should rest on a set of facts or interpretations or assumptions that are what? Fully articulable. But in 12 months, you haven't articulated a single thing. So, or I don't understand. Are you harboring some secret understanding that is like, oh, this is the reason why I'm right, but I'm hiding it in my heart for 12 months? Doesn't work like that. If there's some different moral law that applies onto the facts and circumstances here, you would need to go point at it. But first of all, I'm a better recognizer of what the facts are. Your memory's terrible, and the way you paint and portray life is terrible and inaccurate. And then secondly, the moral law that you apply is just as twisted. You have no chance. But this is obvious. I resent and reject all of this as written. This is all further even wildly insulting, disgusting, completely disregards all the beautiful substance and correctness of everything that was said up here. Unbelievable. Bad mother gets bad karma. Good. She continues. Talking about the private leaves gives you the insight. Don't skip the important step. I didn't skip any. We'll cover that in just a moment. And of course, if I said it, you don't even have to check, but I'll tell you, and then you could check all you want. And it's funny how it just all keeps clicking with full veracity. Amazing. Only because of this, I'm asking you to take a step back, read all my answers first. I will. I keep saying I will. I want to, and I'm looking forward to, because that is what will help me. She thinks her answers will help her. Now, I'm telling you, me getting to reach that stage where I take a look at these answers is what helps me show you how wrong you are. That's why I want to go see them as soon as possible, because I can't wait to dismantle your stupid ass. Stupid. Next. Read all my answers first. Then we could discuss the differences. If these aren't differences, that's a nice way of just making some. It's not differences. It's you violated me, my dignity, so you must pay because you keep not giving repentance. It's not a difference. It's a violation. These aren't differences. There's one law and one set of facts under which they happened. There's not differences. The person who got arrested for robbing somebody else's house isn't dragged into court and they think, oh, listen, these are just our differences. Let's put them aside. No, stupid. You're here to pay for the wrong thing you did because it is wrong, and yes, you did do it. Nothing else here. So we'll look very closely, and we can't wait to see what she says. Next, I say, hopefully, she said, hopefully you could come to the agreement, straighten a lot of this out, okay? This will be the ideal scenario. Yeah, it would be, but only if you deserve it will it be merited that it should be straightened up. I already described that above. So you see how she's repeating herself, the same slant again? So I don't even know what to do here. I would just say, refer back to a few weeks ago when I already addressed the same thing you said with the same answers. They still cross-apply and need to be repeated again here. Inject them here. It's too long. 3 hours now already. She now says, you need a lot of help and services. You have severe neurological and other problems and brain damage. Stay tuned for that. Looking for radiologists still. I'm talking to India now, and ENTs in India to talk to the radiologist. I might be flying anywhere, doing anything. Help me. Help me. Don't have me sit on my birthday with no cake. Give me a cake and then give me hospitals and radiologists that can work this out properly with correct MRIs, please. Thank you. Waiting here 5 years. I can't wait to I have someone who's already reaching out to me who's a science reporter, wants to do a documentary on me. You get it now? Wake up. She says, I could be helping you the most. See, all she wants is that I look good if I'm the helper. Never mind if I deserve being in his life so I can abuse him, but then I buy my way out of the problem by helping him. See the magic slant there? No, no, no. The moment you abuse me, I'll accept everybody else's help except yours because you're bad, so you will learn the punishment price. Ah, that's correct godliness. God goes, yes, that is order, my son, good. Ah, yes, now you have life and earth moving correctly. Amen. Order. In my opinion, only the correct steps and good will fix this situation. I have applied the correct steps. Stupid. Nobody judges another person without listening to her first. We have had our ears open towards your direction for 12 months. There's no human possible way that for 12 months, everything you've said, we've looked at it. God, help me. God, what the fuck? Why are you doing this? Why are you fucking doing this, you fucking stupid piece of crap? Obviously, everyone's looking at this and seeing, I'm looking at it, Anthony's seeing it, are the only two actual people that have looked at it closely thus far, but there's a future haul of people I'm intending to speak to here too, potentially, likely. So all of you are seeing this too. In the meta site of everybody, look, stop twisting so pathetically at everyone's eyes, trying to twist everybody's eyeballs within their own sockets to try to make them see what you see. 1 year we're covering everything that you've been saying. Huh? Tell me one thing that you have said this whole time that has not been substantially represented anywhere on this playlist. Ah, you can't. But if you think you can, go right ahead now. Text me now. As soon as you read this, text me now, and I'll put it on the site here, or on the video, and you'll have this magic defense. No, here's another thing. Also, Anthony didn't understand this fully, but I explained this to him. Listen, when you're presumptively guilty, that's called reasonable cause or probable cause. That's enough to arrest you. They used to say innocent until proven guilty. It's a cute statement. It defends this idea that Americans have. Me as an American, even I'll say, actually, what people really understand is that that's not really true in context. There's something called prima facie guilt. That's the guilt that's established at the time of arrest. In other words, that's the guilt enough that we need to hold you into the initial accusation. It's the same level of burden that if you were to say nothing would automatically confer your eventual guilt as confirmed later at trial. Which is an essential old principle of law that actually many American judicial structures actually have started to forget, but it's actually very true and very fascinating and correct. All right, so you're not getting it. Barbara, you're presumptively guilty on the face of the matter as a result of all the facts that have come to clear light based on everything we understand. We furthermore held the door open for you to come and pitch in everything that you want. You keep saying, don't judge me too early, while you're still withholding prolongedly and unreasonably these excuses. So you see how you're trying to benefit? You want magically on the one side, you just want to hedge yourself into a magic zone of inter protection where no one can harm you and touch you. Bullshit. God says you must be taken and fucking reviled for the stupid shit you do. There's no such thing. Don't judge me. I'm immune. While on the other hand, the things that I'm resting on that should justify my immunization, well, those letters are always just in the process of still getting them ready. Oh, but don't prematurely accuse me. So we can all see that stupid trick, that non-impressive trick now for what it is. We're not impressed. So all of this is fucking bullshit. But because it's insulting to me, you're guilty for having dared to insult me with this shit that you're trying to feed us. Disgusting. Okay? You're actually right that sometimes a situation described by one party looks bad, but listening to another party is a totally different light to it. Barbara, you have a phone. It has a microphone. You can download a recording thing or turn on your screen record and just record a video of yourself. Start talking. Any video you make about this, I promise you, I will take it. I will feature it in its full contextual relevance in its entirety within the playlist. You are the one who doesn't do these things. You are the one who, by your actions, multiple times calls off our meetings for no good reason and dishonors us. Huh? So where the hell are you? And then in the meetings, there's very little you offer that shows Anthony, or one in Anthony's position, or mine, that something you did is like clear that it makes you justified. So how could you even, but we already see what you did. So what makes you think, well, what you did is justified? We looked at the medical records. Acting that way is not justifiable for a mother to do against her son. It's ugly on the face. It's an automatic lose for you. That's what you're not understanding. But please go ahead and try to put more facts. It only insults us more, but we'll look at it, and then just, it's all to show you how wrong you are, but you keep believing there's an escape hatch here. There is none. You're screwed. Keep denying a responsibility. Stop it. She says, put my ego on the side. This is not an ego thing. The victim of a situation isn't there for their ego. But the narcissistic type of person who is the accused wrongdoer who wants to portray themselves as the victim and wants to manage their image, that is an ego position. So actually, the advice is fit for you to drop your ego and not worry about what is said about you, because you should be more interested that justice is done, even if it's against you. That's still fine. That's good. I love that. That's what you should be saying. Okay? What ego of mine? Is not out of ego that a victim wants validation and justice. Everyone in the world would agree with what I just said. Therefore, every single ounce of what I'm doing in my position is someone who's seeking validation for what's happened to me and my position, and the justice for this situation that's correctly fit and proper for it. So it's not an ego. A victim doing what they're entitled to do morally is not ego. So, I spit on you for that, and I spit on that. Disgusting. That is ego, what you just did there, for you, from you. Disgusting. Have an opportunity to listen to another person. I already did. I had another human being come in and look at this. They were pretty good, because they were even more withholding of siding with their own friend than most of the rest of you people would be. I had to put up with a lot of kind of interesting hardness from my own friend as well there. He was giving Barbara, my mom, a tremendous benefit of the doubt too. Really, unreasonably so. And even that benefit of the doubt got worn away. When he looked at it, he was like, I see now with my own eyes. Not because John said so, but because I see it now when I see both sides. And he said, yeah, you're right, dude. She did a number of wrongs, and there's no justification to it that's apparent. And it keeps getting worse the longer I see it. That's it. And he told my mom pretty much this. Game's over. You lose. Okay? There's a lot of listening of many videos, so it's time consuming. Well, you see, if one actually listened to the videos and properly understood them, because the videos are perfectly correct virtually, it should mean in an ideal world a huge mass conversion, 100% across the board, that everyone would watch it and then agree. But if Barbara, the only one who's the wrongdoer here, wakes up and she sees, I don't agree with it, but then she looks around and she's the only one who doesn't agree, and everyone else, because they're outside of the situation, all correctly agree that John's right, she's wrong. Is that the biggest hint of all, that the wrongdoer's ego is the one that's blinding her? Looks like it too, obviously. Next, imagine if we could have agreements, most of our differences. That comes when you have first correct vision, secondly correct empathic emotional circuitry, so that you can identify and empathize with your son and make a compassionate link. Both of those things are completely dead. So what do you talk about? Imagine if we could have an agreement and work our differences. You're the one depriving the differences. You're the one guilty of murder here. And then instead of confessing, you're saying, I'm innocent. But also, can't we put our differences aside and agree? Yeah, so for the murderer who's falsely claiming that they're innocent, agreement means just agree that I'm innocent, okay? Yeah, nice try. That's not going to work. Your well-being is the most important thing now, and the highest priority. Everything else is secondary. My well-being is my dignity being preserved and honored. My well-being, as far as you're concerned, comes from you honoring me properly and not selling me this shit. We covered this already. I don't want anything from you. I'd rather die than be abused by you. You don't understand? But every man feels this way. That's why men go to war. I'd rather die in front of my enemy who I'm trying to kill than to live as a slave under his feet. Don't you get it? Now you understand, men. You really understand that. Well, that is all of world history. My God, he's right. Yeah. Men will rather put themselves at risk of death. Like, I'll fucking kill you or easily be killed. Fine. As long as one of us dies is better than me agreeing that I'm wrong to you as your slave. When you're actually the wrongdoer, you falsely captured me as a slave. Like, that's sick. We're all going to die now, or somebody's going to die. Figuratively speaking, this applied to here means I would never, ever concede to someone if I see that they're wrong in this way. Where you're supposed to be aligned with me, you're my family, you're supposed to be shamed and rebuked. You're guilty, your vision's blurry. So be ashamed of how blurry your vision is. Or do we need to get not only ChatGPT, AI, and not only Anthony, but also everyone else in the world to become involved as well? Wake up. We're done with this. My final response to her, and just, I'm tired of this. If this keeps happening, I'm going to have to just block her because my peace. So 3 hours of my peace here taken away from me, but it's for a higher good because I'm expressing what's happening so that it should be clearly covered and understood. Receiving these messages, I get one message like this, the rest of my day is me going, ah, ah, in my heart. So why would anyone let themselves do that if they care about that person's heart, purportedly? So the only question is, you don't. If you know your shitty treatment of them does that, but what's the only excuse that they have? They won't even realize it's shitty treatment. They'll lie to themselves with these falsely glazed over eyes going, this is fine. Won't you eat my crappy food? While they're getting poisoned and died and throwing it back and saying, stop feeding me raw meat that's rotten. And you're going, it's not rotten. I am fine. I'm not guilty at all. That's the only thing you care about, your own guilt or innocence and not your impact on the other person. That's the root of the emotional personality dysfunction and calibration. You get it now? Wake up. Be a loving mommy or kill yourself. There's only two options every woman has on earth, ever. Metaphorically, it's so true as meta applied to everything else and cross-domain and everything. That's ultimately the core, most truth of all. Love everyone or kill yourself. Do nothing else. Only one of those two is allowed. Do not hang around and be venom snake scorpion person. You have to die. Metaphorically, figuratively speaking. You have to be factored out of the equation. That's what ostracization is for in antiquity. It is functionally associated and equated with death. You become dead to us when you're ostracized. Good. I can't wait to ostracize you if you dare to stupidly hold to this. Screw you. You are a fucking curse on my life. Get the fuck away from me. Shame on you, stupid. First, as it says, as I finally told her, and I'm glad to almost be finished with this, regarding the playlist, most recent video 36, which I frequently referenced in verbally in this video, has just been uploaded onto it, as shown. Second, regarding your statement about my supposed ego, do you not understand how this is a misplaced statement? When someone is hurt and offended genuinely, do you not understand how the seeking of acknowledgement and justice has nothing to do with the ego? I'm rebuking you because you actually have been hurting your son. It's not me rebuking you because of my ego. That's stupid and retarded. This should be obvious to any normal person I hold. I'm proudly featuring and exhibiting this here. Good. Next, regarding what you say about holding something against someone that could be true or not, who knows? Doesn't matter. No, it does matter. But furthermore, regardless of whether it does or not, that there by you seems like a deflective tactic to try to downplay the validity of what I'm saying. You suggest something I said could be true or not, yet in 12 months you've not demonstrated one single thing that I said that is certainly false. You're happy to falsely slander me by saying I'm saying false things, and you'll say that to other people who are not me. So should I sue you for defamation now? I think I do have to. I think the evidence is there. Anthony has the evidence that you said this, and I have the facts, which I could swear to in an affidavit. Boom. Now you're earning yourself another lawsuit. So when does it end? You have to learn through the pain that come through the fullest and completely unheld back consequences given to you, what it means then to not correctly act towards your son and treat your son. Then you're going to learn. Then you're going to find, oh my God, the 5th lawsuit, the 7th lawsuit, and then some of those will actually get judgments, hopefully, and then, that's right. All because you were blind from the beginning, but didn't listen to the word of the man who told you from the channeling God wisdom what to do and how to be. So you lose now. Amen. May God free me from this crap and save me directly. Hell. In 12 months, you've not demonstrated one single thing I said that is certainly false. Yet repeatedly, I've demonstrated clearly how many things that you have said that were horrendously and damagingly false, that hurt me by their effect of you having said that. Sick. Of course, it is something I said. If something I said is reasonably false or reasonably wrong, then I should be hearing about it as the first thing. No, you're a liar. I never said that to Jim, or you're a liar. I never robbed that store. The fact about which the thing is would be linked in the same sentence. I never got that part. Funny, isn't it? Yet I'm waiting for weeks and months. No letters yet, no responses from you. You cannot ethically or morally then protest what I say about you, yet at the same time, you have no counterclaim or an opposing set of facts readily available on hand right there to present forth to straighten out the thing you believe is wrong. It's not wrong. Trust me. Furthermore, how successful of a job do you believe you are running in the shaping of your son, which is your only substantive job as a parent and mother, when you suggest to him that the things he understands and holds to be true are not true? You need to run around and pick up after him some more, right? He's doing this wrong. Got to tell him he's wrong. He's 35 years old, still not competent. See, he gets his facts wrong. Oh, bad son. Now, that's the sick slant. That's, first of all, not true objectively. Second of all, it's responsibly, morally speaking, so sick to do. That's a huge deviation of your obligation, functionally speaking. Puh, sick. It's disgusting. People consider me truly, honestly, to be almost as a machine of precise truth, like a surgeon, and extremely reliable representations about reality are given by me as compared to most other people you could pick out from the population randomly, especially regarding controversial or moral and interpersonal matters, especially when compared to most average people. So who are you to criticize what I do find to be true, when you yourself have one of the worst records of reliability and truth-telling and truth-holding that I've ever found? I find you actually, at this stage, the more I consider it, to be verging upon the level of having traits and behaviors that are almost nearly delusional, which is a little bit of a new thing to bring up. The more we see, now it's kind of becoming more obvious almost. Either you're sick, or you're just morally sick with what may instead simply be a cluster of personality disorder, actually the disorders themselves, or even if not just the traits. But we've discussed a lot of that before. You may disagree, yet the two sets of tests that have been run on you by both me and Anthony, both sourced from high experts, show a different story. They do, true statement. Your job as a mother isn't to manage your own image. Also not to manage your own son either. See that? Do you realize this? Your job as a mother is to empower your son, to give him the value and power, not to take it. Opposite programming, bad programming. I continue, don't go out of order when watching videos as a reminder, but when you do eventually get to number 36, you will see more of what the job as a mother is actually supposed to look like from one of the best talks from a rabbi I really have ever heard in my whole life. Thirdly, regarding your claim of how I'm supposed to do something the way you imagine it, or that I somehow didn't approach you in a good faith for an attempt to try to resolve this, that's not true. Let's remember things correctly. I came back from being in the hospital being in there 1 week against my will, last year, October 2022. I gave you one chance to clean up this mess. I called your phone directly once. It rang to voicemail. I also heard you running around upstairs in that apartment above. on the other floor, which just happens to be right above mine. Amazing, right? People must be out of their fucking mind. She's like, she lives right there and she does all of this crap to him? And she just finds that they're that close and she just ignores his existence? Blow your minds, okay? Get it. Yeah. None of you could imagine being treated like this, right? The few people I've brought this up to, they're like, dude, I thought I had it bad with my mom, but actually, I don't have anything as bad as close to that. Holy cow, I'm really sorry. Yeah. Well, somebody fucking help me then. Be my witnesses and jointly help condemn whoever you see correctly as a wrongdoer. Go to your own correct vision, assuming it's correct. It ought to be. Look at all of this. Go look at everything in the world she says, and then help bring justice here. So make it so, God. Thank you. Amen. I continue on. It rang to voicemail. I also heard you running around upstairs in immediate response to the phone of yours receiving my incoming call, rather, should have said. Did you pick up that phone? No, you didn't. Did you call me back? No, you didn't. I was held against my will for a week in there. Even if there's another situation elsewhere where someone's mother like brought his own son in, even then, even because of something he was doing, well, my God, if I'm being held against my will because of a suspected mental disorder, okay, either someone's evil or they're mental disorder. But if they're not, if it's a mental disorder, then you don't treat them as if they're also morally evil. If they did something supposedly wrong, but it's a mental disorder, you're still loving who they are, their soul, bypassing whatever the disorder is. So in a normal situation, a man's mother would still be calling him, even if he lashed out in a bipolar rage, in his schizophrenic rage, and tried to, beat somebody with a bat, and then they had to get taken to the hospital. Even still, as sad as it is, the mother would be reaching out, going, "Oh, is my baby okay? I'm so sorry. You're feeling bad." You see the normal revivification of life there, the beautiful connection that's actually real and good there. My mom didn't even call me once. Oh, but she tried calling the hospital many, many times. Yeah. It wasn't to talk to me. It was just to tell the doctors that people cross the street to run away from me when they see me in the street. Understand? And then after, she had no fucking desire to reach out to me. And then when I come back, give her the one call I'm obligated to make morally, so that I can surely certify that I did my part. So if you're not coming back to me, you waive your right, because you're signaling to me that you don't want to deal with me privately. So therefore, it's not my fault when I then turn to other people. Now the audience is really going, yeah, for real. Good, I continue to describe. You didn't call me back. After some time, maybe a couple or few days you still didn't return my call. You know what you did instead? You contacted Anthony without checking in with me to see if this is okay. To first essentially gossip to him about me one-sidedly, about how you held that I was purportedly guilty of being bad, essentially, which I spent a year having to fix this incorrect perception, and even worse, having to fix the incorrect action, which is still not corrected. Correction comes when the world correctly fully has finished its proper condemnation of you and judgment, and then you're fully ostracized, and the rest of them are like as a whole unit substituting what I should have been getting as a love from my mother, where they all collectively implicitly replace that love, so that my new friends and my new society will be my new mother. Do you understand? And like God, in essence, provides that nourishing mother energy through them, because he tried to do it through you, but he failed because you were worshiping the devil instead, in essence. By subscribing to bad patterns of thought is how you do that. So, and second, you also reached out to him to inform him in essence that, hey, you absolutely cannot have any direct contact with your son. And that you would use Anthony for that reason to just mediate everything. He didn't even ask me, just told him. Thereby, did you yourself, in doing that, as me and anyone else in the world would agree, of course, didn't you waive and deny any benefits and protections from the step 1 level of the 4-step process of direct one-on-one resolution? When you completely refused to work directly with me and you defaulted thereby to the step one defaulted to me on that matter because of that? Naturally, of course. So you have no right then, a year later, to make a twisted claim and representation now. This is again a memory problem and a context tracking problem. That doesn't impress me. It just stands out as me more indicative correctly of the true defect you live with. Clearly. You come out a year later to make a twisted claim and representation now that I somehow did something wrong by not working this out with you privately? Huh? Do you see the nonsensical aspect, therefore, of what you're doing? Have I stated any material fact or any material interpretation or inference based on such facts here incorrectly? Go ahead. Dare to show such a thing or try. But if you do, and you're wrong, which of course you'd be, so why are you even bothering? It's hopeless. But because you try, this will only offend me more. So God punishes you more because you're more guilty now. See that? Why? Because you're not dignifying your grown man's son. So curse you through God. I renounce cursing you directly. But there's an implicit, interesting parallelism that happens when if a man speaks that things will happen bad to you, has he cursed you or has he prophesied about you? See the difference? When God mediates it, it's because God certified that it was worthy for you to get through him, if he's the mediator and actor. Anyway, have I stated any material facts incorrectly? Seems not, because I haven't. You also stated something about going to the courts. Whether the court is substantive, such as the informal court that my moral witness Anthony and I had been holding up till now, this is naturally the level of morally required intervention that's morally obligated and necessary at the step 2 phase. When does it become that way? The moment that you default at that lower level. If you a year ago called me back, if you had called me back, then when I called you, and also you didn't run to Anthony and tell him that you couldn't deal with me one-on-one, then you could have dealt with me on one-on-one, conceivably. However, in hindsight, I'm glad that it got to this level because this is where the vindication and validation is, because you never took real, full responsibility for all the insane mistreatment of your own son and all the indignation that you caused him, which is wrong to do by one in your position, for one to do in your position. Just get it, man. Just fucking get it. The thing that's wrong and sick with you at the root level is the thing that you're expecting to have happen is what you believe is what should happen. That's why you're in a perpetual confusion mode and not understanding it. Because the very thing you keep expecting is what's supposed to be right and correct to happen is actually you're mistaken. You need to learn the new rules that are the correct rules of life. You never taught them to me properly, nor did you ever understand them yourself, which is why you never taught me. I had to learn from the world around me instead, sadly. So I made a lot of mistakes because of that. But a person who goes and makes the mistakes is actually the best one to then later learn even better. Then he becomes even smarter than the one who never made any mistakes in the first place. Truly. You continue. And I say, whether the courts, on the other hand, are real courts, excuse me, did you yourself not turn multiple times to Caesar, in essence, to try to deal with me in ways that weren't right morally, even getting orders of protection that were, in hindsight, virtually almost completely baseless? Then when you do this, you show that you're using and willing to use Caesar to me, and that you're willing to use formal courts with which to antagonize against your own son, which is disgusting. Where this naturally confers both such sides to resort to this, that means when you turn to Caesar once, you implicitly signal, fine, any of us then can turn to Caesar. Why? Because you can't turn to Caesar and then hypocritically complain that the other person there later ever turned to Caesar then. You see? So you waive the right. In that case, therefore, what do I owe you then? Do not I owe you the same thing basically then? I owe you no such consideration that I shouldn't turn to Caesar, because you yourself are the one who waived the implicit courtesy of protection and privacy originally by having ever turned, even once, ever, to try to use Caesar as a weapon against me. even once. For this, you open a door that may end up never being shut until the day you have fully atoned and repented, such as to somehow earn forgiveness. That's never happened. So for many years now, you're in chronic default because you never earned full forgiveness, because you never cleaned up the mess fully. It's been a chain of more spills and never enough cleaning that it ever became fully dry again and cleaned up. So you're guilty. You've remained in chronic probation, chronic guilt. So no wonder you're in perpetual bad karma and gets worse and worse for you. I continue. Given your personality, as we see it clearly, anyone can see how you're writing, how you're treating your son, how you've made him become. When people see me act like this, they don't just say, oh, look at how he is. In fuller context, they insightfully go, wow, look at how he became. Look at how she made him. Wow. Now you should be ashamed, huh? Yet it's where we are. I can't do anything about it except everything on earth that I'm trying to do now. But for Barbara, even this isn't enough. What's enough for Barbara is only pure, I'll murder you and you still have to love it. That's Barbara's fucking highest fantasy, is that she will kill you, but you still have to say she's perfect. Help us, God. Punish the wrong shit that's psycho crazy like that. I continue. Given your personality, I find this to be extremely improbable that you'll somehow completely change. Even when you showed me such signaling about a year and a half ago, we had the best relationship we ever had, actually, for a couple months, few months. Then you went to Poland, then you came back, and then you showed your true colors again. Right when you coincidentally, right when you brought your boyfriend back, whereas he had been gone for 6 months. How funny! How funny is that? Huh. When you stop having regular exposure to another bad source of energy, you suddenly reconnect with your moral framework better. And then as soon as he comes back, then you switch loyalties. Oh, now he's back, so now I'm loyal to him and I stop being considerate to you. Anyone else hearing this situation, understanding that these facts are essentially a correct representation of the dynamic that we watched play out, which is correct, it's true. It's not excusable, so there's no justification that you could say as to why that was kind of okay. It's not okay, and second of all, it's disgusting. So therefore, thirdly, you're guilty, and you should therefore be ashamed. So you make your own mess, finally, as I write. That's right. Further, regarding your claim that publicizing the issue to the broader community by me here is somehow wrong, this is another example of how deep your own lack of understanding is. Actually, step 3 of the 4-step rebuke process is, in essence, what? The full publicization of the wrongdoer's matters to the broader assembly, community, or society. That is, of course, the natural price that each offender has to end up paying whenever they're stupid enough to deny repentance to the victim, both at the step 1 process, which you defaulted on when you didn't call me back a year ago on that day, and then you further told Anthony you refused to deal with me or even communicate directly with me. That's extremely abusive. That's morally sick. And then when you also deny the step 2 level, when Anthony eventually held upon his crystallized determinations, you were the one who appeared guilty of wrongdoing, but you didn't demonstrate full remorse to us then. Instead, you dishonored both of us multiple times by refusing to sit down at meetings with us, thus showing contempt for us at the step 2 level. And ultimately, finalizing and confirming that full default in dishonor of us both by you, such that people in our position were justified to proceed to step 3. No problem. Furthermore, such that the highest and fullest more karma levels, at those levels, you are appropriately set and subject to the fullest natural consequences, of the step 3, which is the publicization. Good. You didn't hear Anthony when he tried to tell you that you owe the apology, the true repentance of heart, not just the plain words, like, I did anything, I'm sorry, but that's not an apology. That doesn't work. So apologies, quote-unquote apologies like that are not real, genuine apologies, so they're rejected on the face for being disingenuous. For obvious reasons. Anyone would hear that and understand, like, oh yeah, lady, you fucked up. You need to invest in the relationship with your son. So everything you're doing, because it's against that, is the reason why you're a sick woman. Can't you get it now? I continue on. You didn't hear Anthony. You acted in clear deviation of good faith dealing. We all watch that happen. We look at the text directly to find this to be the case with you. So, You have only yourself to thank for. But even though your clear behavior is shown by your text, you also go, oh, don't judge me. It's too early, too early. No, it's not. Everyone watches you, but still when you put forth your substance, it'll be not enough. You're done. So, therefore, you have only yourself to thank for why there is the level of only YouTube videos and letters now with regards to how closely interactive you can be with your own son. Huh? Whose fault is that then? Obviously it's yours. You are the reason why it is at this level now, not anyone else. It's not their fault, their responsibility why you're here. Except that I correctly carried out my side of the responsibility to make sure you got here according to the instructions of morality. Good. That's what you need to get. Therefore, don't mischaracterize what Christ says. Don't do it. Because carrying the name of God incorrectly is a violation of one of the highest commandments on that list. So you don't even know what the hell you've done. May you realize it. You're so blind and uninsightful that you have not even a first clue how any of this works. You don't understand morality and religion actually, like for real. Everything you do is chaotic and unorganized, essentially, in the material ways that matter with respect to the dynamics within our situation, of course, because your underlying thinking and your interpretive mechanisms and your capacities themselves are completely chaotic and disorganized and stunted. Only chaos and disorganization of a person can allow for a 1-year-long estrangement to continue to last and be perpetuated. That's sick. Like Sarah, my ex-girlfriend herself said, her own mother would have killed herself by such a long period of time instead of ever being found to be guilty of the shame of not being fully and properly connected and reconciled with her own children. Something to think about. Whatever apparent substantive disease you have that allows you to go to sleep at night without wanting to kill yourself for what you've done is the defect in and of itself. It is that instinct of right people that they feel as if they'd be almost suicidal, which actually ironically makes such people normal, and which keeps them because of that. Because that healthy, like for example, people have fear, but fear is healthy because it keeps you from doing insane things and risks that would kill yourself and be worse. Same with that. People have self-hatred pre-installed because it's good to have it. So when you do things that are contemptible, your conscience kicks up the remorse and regret and self-loathing so that you steer yourself away from driving down the same road. But if you're numb to it, you just keep flooring it and driving further and further down the same road, even though you blew past 10 stop signs that are increasingly larger, where everyone else would have felt shame and disgust because it's not programming you to wake you up to feel that. You keep driving and then you break your car, damage and kill yourself. But all the signs warned you. So your internal wiring was a defect because you didn't what? Take the signals as real and feel it at the emotional circuitry level. Instead, you try to do it logically, but because the logic's also messed up, you're not even logically connecting it right. As is based on what we see at the apparent level, don't deny it. Simply, your own words are your representations. Anyone can see your words and see exactly how they are and how it looks like within the context of this whole situation. Garbage. Okay? It's that healthy thing that keeps them from ever doing something as stupid as what you have done. Finally, I want to scrutinize something. Did I not ask or insist reasonably at some point earlier, days or weeks ago, to ensure that this text line is kept for relative peace and that it is for essentially administrative matters within our family? Implicitly, at least, if that was not represented to be that way? If you had common sense, you'd have understood that. Didn't I ask you not to use this as a place to, in essence, do stuff that would reinvite, provoke, or inject more controversy in regards to the underlying matters? Oh, but you remember when my mom would write as if, to slant it as if I'm the one who's making more controversy. No. Robbing me of my peace within this sacred text line is the fucking sin and offense. Okay? I continue. Yet even then, did you not essentially put forward such controversy more than once? by controverting whether it was fit or not for those YouTube videos to simply have been standing, remaining as they were? Did I not have to come back to essentially admonish you and then correct you and then further remind you that this is misuse of the text line? What do we all think about this? This woman's out of her mind then, it seems. Doesn't it? Isn't she? Do not fucking argue about this shit on the text line. And now, days or weeks later, here we look and see that, oh my God, again. Yesterday, you just did it again. Starting to antagonize and provoke on this line, not honoring or keeping the peace by starting to inject your protests about the same YouTube videos again after it was already addressed before. In a matter that should have been suitable. Or at least with very highly and very strongly arguable points. Way better than anything she put. So by the tips of the scales, at the very least, you owed something to at least defer for now, idiot. So you're guilty of robbing me. You're guilty of all the frustration. The blood pressure that's increased now, you're liable for every point of blood pressure I've increased now. Karmically. All that guilt will attribute to you. So you'll get a fucking tumor tomorrow maybe. That's up to God. But when you do, don't say, oh, poor me, I'm a victim. I don't know why I got a tumor. No, you got it because I told you you're doing wrong against your son and you didn't fucking care. That's it. So God's very fair. Thank you, God. Wake her up more. Her! Wake her fucking up. Who asked you to bring this up here? What makes you think it is appropriate to do this then within this context? After giving all of this. Moreover, did you not already bring that specific matter up before already where it was properly addressed and shut down in essence? Did I not indicate to you that in light of everything you have done, that there is no chance? When man speaks, you have a better chance of using your head to break apart the mountain in front of you than you have to move me. One, I'm actually right, and you don't deserve mercy any longer, but actual justice. There's no chance that the videos will be gone if you don't do something to merit such a grace and consideration. So you only have yourself to thank for why those videos are still remaining up. Ah, do you get it now? You properly apologizing is what makes those videos go down, and repenting and earning forgiveness from your son is what makes those videos get taken down. But anyone else in the world would clearly agree with that and say, yeah, obviously that's true in the fuller context. He's absolutely right when he says that there. Yes, I know I am. I continue. Didn't Anthony also indicate to you the same thing before? So, because you now repeated the same thing again, and tried to again dishonor my word and position, you're guilty once more of more offense. Again. Why you keep letting yourself be more guilty? Because you have no shame? Clearly not. Dysfunctional problem. Or no ability to perceive yourself, to clearly see how bad and wrong it is what you're doing? When man has spoken once, he has spoken the way God has spoken. If you do not honor it, you are guilty. If you misuse this text line again, you stand the risk of getting blocked. Then there's going to be real problems because Anthony's not here to play middleman now after I suspended him from this and he agreed. You get it? If you are told to stop something and you're told this thing by me, this is the same as if you were being told by God to stop it. It means you stop it then. You get it? You should apologize for infringing upon the peace, upon the prior understood terms, and upon my dignity, for challenging what I already made clear multiple times before, where you were not in the right nor in the merit to do so morally. It's the same like when you offer food to my door again and again after I told you, I don't ever want to even hear about it, and that even offering such a thing to me in this context is offensive. Understanding this, then, how do you justify violating the boundary I reasonably set up and notified you of, too? Is it because you want to be offensive and guilty? That's how it practically does look like to me. Because you don't care. There's some kind of other mechanism that God instilled in you people that even when you're wrongdoers, you also have this ability to, you'll do the wrong, but you also are built in as a safety mechanism for the greater good of everything around us, that you'll also set yourselves up so that you can get fried for it easily there. It's so interesting how that is. It's so fucking interesting. Like, they don't just do bad usually and then just slip back into being okay. It's like they do bad, but then through it, they're also like, look what I'm doing. Look how bad it is. Like they invite their correction. Oh yeah, you naturally invite, yeah, as I was saying, harsher and harsher reactions to you. You invite them. And to the things that you do as a result of the progressively and more offensive and misplaced actions and behaviors and decisions of yours here. Thereby it seems that harsher and harsher consequences is the only way that you seem to learn. But this is your choice. If you actually learned, if you actually fixed the mistakes, and if you actually respected people from the beginning at the first level, then there wouldn't be any escalation or worsening of the problem. Is this not apparent to you? So do not make this mistake again, or the practical consequences will continue to escalate. And you may not have an easy way thereafter to even get to interface with your own son. That should make a normal woman want to kill herself, as was mentioned before. All of this, even though you live 20 seconds away from me. You see how sick all of this has been allowed to become? So start taking responsibility for it. Also to note, if you dream to become provocational or to improperly break the peace here, again in this text format, and then if it ends up that there is blocking of you that's merited, I'm telling you, if I ever happen to just lack enough funds or whatever that I begin to starve, make no mistake, I would rather starve than notify you. You understand? So if I end up blocking you, then I'm not going to break my own blocking of you to run back like a little puppy. I'd rather starve than turn to you. You go ahead and live with that. Understand? It is no problem, since every punishment for allowing this to happen will be karmically and allocated unto you. So while I'm starving, I'm getting dignified by God that I'm happy that you're getting the punishment karmically for my starvation, which then net meta rebuilds me up. But you are left with nothing except what should be more shame, but because you're numb to it, that's like the person who has numb to touching the fire. So instead of having pain to move away their hand, they got to feel a little pain, but the pain was good because they protected their hand. Now your whole body's just engulfed in fucking karmic flames because you felt none of the danger. You're just now burning to death karmically. Sad. I went on to say, I'd rather starve rather than notify. It's no problem, since every punishment for allowing this will be karmically allocated unto you. So for your punishment, I will gladly starve. That's how much you've loved your son. That's how loved he felt by you because of how well you treated him in your interactions with him. Who the fuck else left anywhere in this world would think anybody else except you is who's responsible for this as it stands now? It is no problem. Question is, in order to test your humanity and capacity for empathetic connection and life of the spirit, is such a thing a problem for you that your son starves? That's the thing you have to deal with and face.